new Onslaught season brings the same much-loved competitive battles, with a few improvements. The 5 weekly missions no longer expire at the end of the week, but remain available until the season finishes. You can complete them later and play at your own pace, but try not to leave them all to the last minute. Instead of increased shell resistance, completing all missions will get you a token that you can exchange for any improved equipment. The team lists now have more info. You still won't be able to see unspotted enemy vehicles, but now you can see players' names, platoons, and ranks. All this info is available both during battle and before it, on the loading screen and during pre-battle prep. Redshire has been removed from the Onslaught maps. Tundra and Prokhorovka have been added. And the latter has changed notably for the mode. Countryside engagements are going to be heated. Outpost now has more cover, and some of the points of interest have moved. We've also rebalanced the role skills. You can see a full list of the changes in the article on the game portal. It's now far simpler to assemble platoons in Onslaught. Instead of rating points, the game now checks players' ranks. You can invite a player 1 rank higher or lower than you to join a platoon. For super platoons of 7 players, a difference of 2 ranks either way applies. Incidentally, it's now a little easier to reach the highest rank. Now, not just 10, but a whole 15% of players on the leaderboard are legends. After battles, don't forget to claim your rewards. The banner in the in-game store will remind you. It will take you directly to the Onslaught shop. Fight in this season to get closer to the annual reward, the Stinger. You can only get it in Onslaught, so make sure your Tier 10s are ready. If you don't have many, use this season's rental vehicles, the T110 E5, Centurion Action X, and Bliskavica. Happy onslaughtering.
Hola Tankers! This February, things are heating up on and off the battlefield. From fiery battles to sweet rewards, here's what's happening in World of Tanks PC this February. I'm Commander AF, and this is Watt Monthly. This February, World of Tanks celebrates the Year of the Snake. Dive into Serpentine-themed missions and rewards during the Lunar New Year 2025 event. Earn event marks, visit the cat shop for exclusive treasures, and slither into action. Check the portal on February 5th for event details. As Onslaught Season of the Crimson Manticore continues, get ready for another fiercely competitive and always exciting season of the Onslaught Legends Series. Throughout February, watch the top teams in Europe compete in 7 vs 7 OLS matches as they battle their way to the top of the Season 2 leaderboard. Show your support by watching the heart-pounding action unfold live on Twitch, claiming drops and earning OLS tokens all along the way. Streams will be available in various languages on a variety of channels, with 100% of proceeds from OLS bundle sales going towards the prize pool. For my pals in North America, get ready for the Onslaught Legends Finals, which will be streamed live on February 22nd and 23rd. 2 things I can guarantee: adrenaline-packed matches and mystery drops will be enabled. And don't miss the Onslaught collection in the Wargaming store. It's got everything from tumblers to t-shirts, so you can really show your love for the game. Frontline returns February 10th for 7 thrilling days of dynamic 30 vs 30 battles. During Episode 4, every time you load into a frontline battle, you'll be faced with one of 3 unique battle scenarios, thanks to the Dynamic Battle Scenario system. You've got until February 16th to show your might on the battlefield and level up your rewards. February is for love notes and sweet gifts, and our partners at HyperX have got more than just your X's and O's covered. HyperX and World of Tanks have joined forces to transform your mechanical keyboard into a Watt masterpiece with exclusive 3D printed keycaps. Load out your escape key with miniature 3D printed replicas of the Tiger 1, Barask, and Sherman. Looks just like this. So cute. And Wattify your spacebar and WASD keys with Watt's iconic orange and black brand colors. Designed for mechanical keyboards with MX-style switch stems and sold exclusively in the US, these customized keys combine style and functionality to showcase your passion for the game. Now for a sweet gift. Check out the Love is Key giveaway for a chance to win the full collection of exclusive World of Tanks HyperX keycaps. Click on this link here and enter by Valentine's Day. 5 lucky winners from the US will be randomly selected and notified directly by February 21st. Though the Love is Key giveaway is for US-based players only, to bring a little extra sweetness to everyone's day, I'm talking to you, EU, APAC, and NA servers, I'm giving away the Love is in the Air 2D style to my top 10 favorite love notes. To enter, write a short and sweet love note about your favorite tank and post it in the YouTube comments below. Just be sure to include your in-game name and server in your comment so I can send you your reward. And for another sweet offer from an extra sweet partner, Fragstore.com is helping spread the love this Valentine's Day too. February 7th to 15th, shop their site for some sweet World of Tanks swag and save 20% when you use this promo code at checkout. In other news, the Railgun and Element Surprise modes will make their triumphant return during the upcoming installment of Arcade Cabinet. February 28th through March 2nd, enjoy a fun-filled weekend of sniping and surprises as you earn random rewards like credits, boosters, and Watt Premium account days. Tally-ho, tankers! Gear up for the ultimate hunt with Boosteroid's monthly boost rewards. This February, stock the battlefield with the William Foxwood Commander, mark your territory with the On the Scent decal, and track down other in-game goodies including gold, a Tier 8 premium subscription vehicle, and experimental equipment. With Boosteroid's cloud-based gaming, you can stay on the prowl anytime, anywhere. Subscribe and link your Boosteroid and World of Tanks accounts by February 28th to claim your prize before it slips away. All right, as you can see, World of Tanks PC is the perfect cozy companion this winter, so cuddle up and roll out, tankers. Happy Valentine's Day, and as always, thanks for watching.
The new Onslaught season brings the same much-loved competitive battles, with a few improvements. The 5 weekly missions no longer expire at the end of the week, but remain available until the season finishes. You can complete them later and play at your own pace, but try not to leave them all to the last minute. Instead of increased shell resistance, completing all missions will get you a token that you can exchange for any improved equipment. The team lists now have more info. You still won't be able to see unspotted enemy vehicles, but now you can see players' names, platoons, and ranks. All this info is available both during battle and before it, on the loading screen and during pre-battle prep. Redshire has been removed from the Onslaught maps. Tundra and Prohorovka have been added. And the latter has changed notably for the mode. Countryside engagements are going to be heated. Outpost now has more cover, and some of the points of interest have moved. We've also rebalanced the role skills. You can see a full list of the changes in the article on the game portal. It's now far simpler to assemble platoons in Onslaught. Instead of rating points, the game now checks players' ranks. You can invite a player 1 rank higher or lower than you to join a platoon. For super platoons of 7 players, a difference of 2 ranks either way applies. Incidentally, it's now a little easier to reach the highest rank. Now, not just 10, but a whole 15% of players on the leaderboard are legends. After battles, don't forget to claim your rewards. The banner in the in-game store will remind you. It will take you directly to the Onslaught shop. Fight in this season to get closer to the annual reward, the Stinger. You can only get it in Onslaught, so make sure your Tier 10s are ready. If you don't have many, use this season's rental vehicles, the T110 E5.
Onslaught Legends Series Season 2 is here, and you can make it truly special for participants and yourself. Boost the prize pool by predicting with team bundles. If your team wins, you can upgrade the included style to a shiny golden version. Contribute now. Hello and welcome to Onslaught Legends Series Season 2, Phase 2, and you guessed it, Day 2. We are here in the Phase 2. That means 4 points are up for grabs in each match, and we're going to kick it off with quite the banger morph. It's going to be Cashback versus W.
Yeah, and because we're in Phase 2, most of the games from here on out are going to be bangers. Only 6 teams left standing. Here's the schedule for today. Just 3 games, once again. All best of 7s, of course. Starting it off with Cashback versus W, like you said.
Exactly. Also, not sure if we're going to see the standings table, but we did a little bit of math earlier today. Not on the stream, before the stream. That's always very important.
That's a wise decision.
And actually, if one of the first 3 teams wins today, that means that, you know, the team of LTP is not going to be able to catch up anymore. So anyone between Cashback Mafia and Hit and Run, if either of those wins, they are already confirmed for the playoffs. But that is just, you know, on the side. There are obviously still a lot of points for grabs. And even if you're confirmed for playoffs, that means you're still playing for seeding for those, and especially Plays 1 does make it considerably easier to get in towards the grand finals, which in turn obviously give a lot more from the prize pool. That being said, you see the play days in front of you right now. We are currently on the 13th of February, and this means today you'll be able to earn 4 OLS tokens, and on the weekend, of course, we are going to increase that by 50% to 6, at least for this Sunday, and next week we'll go a bit crazy, but for now, 4 tokens up for grabs today, which of course you can in-game in the OLS token store exchange for some pretty cool goodies, including 2D styles, 3D styles, a premium tank, Days of World of Tanks premium, whatever you desire, it's going to be there.
Yep, drops. I love free stuff, and the viewers love it too.
Exactly. That being said, I think it's just about time to talk a little bit more about the match. The chat probably already way ahead of us already, because today in the first match we have the team in the lead in the points. Cashback, that means the chat is probably flooded with goat emojis right now, not that I mind it. And
Dude,
they
it started probably like 5-10 minutes ago already.
Probably, yeah. And they're going to be playing against W. So it's a Ukrainian team. Once again, the only team with only 8 players. That means they are pretty much locked in. And to be fair, from what we've seen, it's been quite stellar. Some minor slip-ups. So they are not invincible. But whenever they find their stride, they are almost unstoppable.
No, they're still a sort of very commanding team, that's for sure. But as we've seen, hit and run, beat them in phase 1. I think that was the only match that they've lost so far. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. On the other side, we've got W, the fully international lineup. One person from every single country there. 2 people from Poland, of course. So technically, it's still a majority Polish lineup.
Technically it is, but yeah, main communication language is obviously going to be English, which is not the case for most, if not all, of the other teams. That being said, community predictions, no surprise there, they're favoring Cashback.
Yeah, none whatsoever. 15%, a couple people, couple believers there, which is to be expected. I think W are a pretty credible and respected team so far. They put up some good rounds, but just unlike Cashback, just not always able to get it over the line.
Yeah, exactly. But at least in this OLS season, W are forming up and shaping up to be a team that's most likely going to make it to playoffs. That being said, ITOX so far for W, KD of 1.0, average damage 2.9, so far so good, but the pen rate is actually extraordinary. 92% in Foshby E100 and BZ75. Those are not exactly tanks that are, known to have the most reliable guns, especially the BZ, and the E100. Also kind of iffy, because you're going to be playing mostly against enemy super heavies, and there your low pen can kind of, not be the best thing.
Sure, and I think saying the BZ gun handling is bad is a bit of an understatement. It is actually atrocious, and obviously in the competitive mode, they're going to be running HP and turbo on all of these different tanks, because it's so important to get yourself into the fight early and you compromise that gun handling. But we always say this, pen rate is the most important stat. No matter what you do, as long as you can pen all of the shots that you fire in your game, then it's going to be helping your team out quite a bit. Squeezy doing a bit more average damage, which is to be expected when he's playing tanks like the Batchat, 430U, EBR not so much, but also can put out some damage.
Yeah, can put out some damage, and the fact that the EBR is there, the DPG is still so high, is quite impressive. That being said, the prize pool, it keeps on growing. We are at 72,000 euros, not USD. Although, kind of, that's the same thing at this point in time. At least that's what it seems like to be. But yeah, thank you very much to all the viewers and all the people who keep contributing. Talking about US dollars, here's the OLF prize pool, which is set to 15,000. That one's going to come into play on Saturday and Sunday next week. For now, though, we are at the match of Cashback versus W. It's going to be a best of 7. And we are, after Pilsen and Ensk are banned, we are going to go in towards a Westfield and Cliff, after which we might go in towards Murovanka. And if we need it, which hopefully we do, because that would mean awesome and a lengthy match, we are going to go to Studzianki.
Yeah, of course. And of course, if people remember all the way back in day 1, Westfield was, there was some shenanigans going on there. One of the teams may have capped to 100% without a shot being fired in the game between these two teams. So you'd like to think that someone would have corrected that mistake and be able to deal with that.
Yeah, let's see how this one is going to go. One thing for sure I don't think we're going to see ever again on Westfield is the double to suck that hit and run played in, I think, match number 1 of phase number 1. That was kind of a failed experiment. Oh,
I remember that. That was a bit of a disaster. Still not as bad as W just ignoring the cap circle and Cashback just triple capping and the game being over in about 2 minutes. It was the fastest match I think we've seen. It was 3-0 in about like 20 minutes, even that. And then the highlights, because we have to run the highlights as well. And you're trying to like pick a moment in this game that lasts longer than like 20 seconds so that we can have a little bit more of a break, and very difficult there.
Yeah, indeed. But at least since it is a best of 7 this time, if it's going to be 2-0, it will be 4-0. So maybe
25 minutes, then 25-minute match. But
we didn't predict 4-0. All of us did go with like 4-2, something around that. So yeah, because also W, they've picked up some pretty good players. Brainbreaker has been an absolute standout for them, and also Strala, although that one seems to not be playing today. As we do go into this one, and W is going to start with a BZ75, an E100, an MVY, a CS, a Centurion, a Foch B, and an Archer.
Meanwhile, Cashback are rocking triple Yo tank, 1 Centurion AX by Baby, the Inspire tank, and then triple Foch B. I have to say, I'm not surprised by this at all. I was watching the OCS yesterday. If anyone doesn't know, that's the quali division to get into the OLS. So that those teams are playing to get into the next season, season 3. And let's just say there was a large number of Foch Bs being brought by all teams involved.
Well, let's see. As we do see the opening by Cashback here, all of the players have been spotted, so very good plane coming out from Klurf. That means full information available for the team of W, of course, which are also going to take an information tower as Brainbreaker does boost Frugo in towards the A3 position. They do get spotted for it, but they don't die. However, they are pretty much singled out, and we do have this squad of MVY Yo heavy tanks together with the Foch Bs that might just converge on them. Twilight, the first one into the breach, activates a mobility for his Foch B. You can see him ducking and weaving, trying to not take as much damage, and now Cashback are just going to pounce. They're just going to drive into this pocket of tanks by W here. There is not really a lot that can help them, and this seems to be a good pickup coming out from W. Sorry, from Cashback.
There's a lot of damage being done, W, but the HP is split across multiple guns here. Twilight will be able to survive in the Foch B, so will Eyes in the M5Y. The problem for Cashback now is they're going to have 4 tanks that are effectively stuck in that A3 pocket. Jackifer is going to be able to provide huge crossfire on towards them. Itox needs to be careful not to overcommit here, and I think he might have done so. Barbarian Bebra is going to push straight into him in the Foch B. He doesn't care if he gets shot. He's got his heal ability available. Itox falls, and now W left with a gun disadvantage.
Left with a gun disadvantage, slightly ahead in HP, and keep in mind the tanks by Cashback that are in the pocket cannot really leave from there at this point in time, as we do have the RHM on the outside from W continuously providing fire support, and Jackifer as well, not really pushable in that Centurion, but now Liberty with the fully loaded Foch B is starting to approach Klurf's position. There is not really a lot of tanks that can help here, as Klurf is starting to get clipped, cannot really drive out himself. Another shot coming in, and Klurf is going to get picked up by Liberty as the Foch B falls as well, but now 5 versus 3 tanks for Cashback.
Yeah, Klurf needed to survive there because now the crossfire has been eliminated. Jackifer still in a good position in A4, but he's got no teammates left to cover him off. He does still potentially be able to kill these guys because they're going to push into him one by one. He's going to pick off Twilight first. Splatty has fallen, so it's Jackifer now in a 1 versus 4 situation, and I think what we're seeing here is, sure, the A3 hold is very powerful and you can do a lot of damage, but you still lose the guns, and Cashback critically kept them all alive.
Yeah, exactly. I think despite 3 tanks being alive on the Cashback lineup, this one was actually super close. Another shot here or there might have turned the tables and might have actually turned the favor of the game. So Cashback does pick up round number 1, but it was as close as it can be, essentially. Imagine that Foch survives. Imagine there's one more shot that comes in to help Jackifer here. That is, yeah, that would just change things completely.
Yeah, we can't talk in hypotheticals, though. You will drive yourself absolutely insane if you dwell on the past. But someone who might be thinking about that right now, in the immediacy, aftermath of that game, is Itox, right? He overcommit. I'm not sure. I'd like to know how much time there was left on the cap, whether that was the reason that he decided that he needed to go so close. But with Clerf in the back in the RHM, when he overpeaks in the RHM like that, behind the scenes here, as they prepare for the next round. But where Clerf's position in the RHM, you are able to peak and get resets on the cap. So there wasn't really any reason for Itox to go as close as he did. He essentially gave Cashback an opening, because that's exactly what Barbarian wants to do in the Fosh B, right? He needs someone to YOLO into. He needs a tank to YOLO into. He doesn't want to cross lots of ground. Jackfer doing 5k, but it doesn't really matter. It's not enough to make up for the rest of his team. Barbarian, in the end, only does 800 damage, but it doesn't really matter because they trade off and they kill a full CS.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this kind of domino effect that we keep talking about, it really came into play here. Because, like, W essentially starting with 2 guns down, like, yes, the HP were even, but that is just so big. That is just such a humongous part of the team that's not able to contribute anymore. Like, whenever a push is happening somewhere, you obviously want to have as many guns as possible shooting at it to just blow the pushing tanks up and remove them from the game. And W being down 2 guns immediately just weren't able to do so effectively right at the start.
The thing is, right, if you commit 2 tanks into A3, their idea is, oh, we can stall them out for longer. If we put 2 tanks there, we can do more damage on towards them. But at the end of the day, you're still giving up 2 tanks for it, right? It's, you know, if you commit to this A3 play, it's usually better if it's just one guy, because then they don't get so much of an advantage in guns in the game.
Well, let's see in this round number 2, as W do bring double BZ75, we have quadruple Yo coming out together with Anudes.
Yeah, meanwhile, we've got triple BZ from Cashback, double Yo, Baby rocking the Centurion AX, and Barbarian bringing his trusty Fosh B, probably his most played tank in the OLS so far. But both teams, no light tanks, so expect to see a brawl in the north.
Indeed, a brawl in the north is what we're going to get most likely, and who is going to have the better lineup here? I'd be willing to give it to W, actually, just because of all of those MVYs that are going to be super powerful in hold-down position. However, W have split off double BZ, and that is obviously a lot of HP that's not going to be in the game. The Uda is very powerful in those hold-downs, as well as Brainbreaker does make it over in that MVY. He's in a good crossfire positions, but W, they need to find a punch here, and indeed, they try to do that on towards Little. The MVY completely getting focused out for Cashback here, but the HP favoring Cashback at this point in time. One more shot required, and indeed a Little does go down, but Cashback with the counter punch just everywhere. Repushes going on as Twilight drops down towards a possible one-shot. Jackifar getting focused out, but is able to stay alive. Crucially, in the Udas 5 versus 7 situation from the point of view of Cashback, and in come W with yet another push.
Yeah, it's the inverse of what we saw from last game. A lot of damage done on towards Brainbreaker, crossing in towards that position at the start of the game, but they couldn't kill him because he's completely out of the fight. They had to just ignore him, so he was able to stay alive or the whole game. Barbarian's got a full clip loaded up and ready to go, but there's so many guns for the side of W here, just ready to shoot him, but it's still very, very close in the HP. Splatty now the next one to get focused out. He's trying to get back around the corner, but you can't outrun a Fosh B, my friend, and he does fall towards Baby. Baby still critically alive in the Centurion AX, inspiring his whole team. Massive DPM. Barbarian about to fall, but Itox isn't off a reload yet, so Barbarian probably going to get his full clip out, and now somehow Cashback have turned the tables. It looks so good for W at one point in this match, but Cashback have done it again. They've turned the tide back into their favor, and it's just Itox left in a 3 versus 1.
Indeed, just Itox here, and you gotta wonder, where did it all go so wrong? W, they managed to get the first gun, maybe even 2. They managed to keep their Inspire medium in the game. But then, as soon as the Fosh B by Cashback once again came off of reload, I think W, they started focusing on towards that Fosh B, but crucially weren't able to blow it up and remove it from the game. And at that point, I think it might be better to just ignore the Fosh, let it do its clip, and kill single shooters instead. Because like this, like the Foch comes back, you try to focus it out, you lose a lot of effective DPM on all the other tanks, and then, you know, the Foch did its clip, and all of a sudden it starts healing, and you're like, well, what now?
Well, I think the key detail there is that not only does the Foch B have more health, but if you can't delete him immediately, like you say, if you don't have enough guns to just blow him up, he's going to get most of his clip off anyway, so it doesn't really make sense to focus him out. They should have been prioritizing Baby, and look at that. They didn't focus him out, and he's at the top of the leaderboard there with almost 4k damage, and 4 kills as well. Not to mention the fact that he's inspiring the entire rest of his team, which is why Liberty and IZ are able to put out as much damage as they can as well. And then, contrastingly, on the other hand, look at the Udes. The Udes, the other Inspire tank for W, it gets focused out first. He's only got 2k damage.
Yeah, he did get focused out first, and I think Jackifar was, you know, maybe not lucky, but he was on one shot at some point, and Cashback had to invest significant resources to get him out of there. So at the end of the day, I think 2 rounds on Westfield that could have gone either way, but Cashback with the better end. And I think especially in the second round, I don't want to completely say it was a throw, but I think W were in commanding positions at some point, and then in-game the calls could have been different.
Yeah, if but and maybe. I would agree. It's not a throw. It's just the class that Cashback are bringing to the table. In these chaotic brawls, you always see the team that is better settled and better skilled in these situations. They're just a bit calmer and a bit smarter with their decision making faster decisions as well as better ones. And that is really what pulls through in this game.
Absolutely. So Cliff is where we are headed next, and W will try to pick up the first point on the map with a 50B double BZ, a 277, quite the rare sight actually in Onslaught, double bad chat, and an E50M.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the 277 just as much as I hate the BZ. I feel like the 277 is mostly just cannon fodder, which of course is the intention that you bait the shots for the rest of your team. Cashback, meanwhile, bringing double 50B, triple BZ, and double bat. So I like that. It looks very clean, clean on the eye. The lineup. Splatty bringing E50M. Interesting choice. Not an Inspire tank that we normally see. I would expect the E50M to take a trip over towards the 1-2 line. So we got a split from both these teams, of course, not bringing light tanks. So it's going to be quite a shock.
It's going to be quite a shock as double bat chat for Cashback is going to transition over the donut. They do see the double bat chat from W and vice versa as Frugo and Jackifar do commit in towards the 1-2. So as of right now, W, they do have the overmatch at the donut, and this is why Cashback is pulling the double BZ as well in support. As we do see the 277 Frugo is going to go hold down, but that is a lot of HP that is approaching here currently. That's why Clerf is also starting to bail. Does take 1.8k to the back of his tank though. Needs to get out of there at this point in time. Little now is going to be the focus, gets blown up. A strike goes down, is going to hit home on 2 tanks, and right now W once again with the advantage.
The BZs, they're arriving late, but they are going to get into this fight. But Cashback, they don't want that to happen. They're going to run away. They're going to try and get away from these BZs that are re-pushing. Jackifar takes a big ram from Liberty, but not able to pick up the kill. The key player here right now is going to be Splatty, because he has got a tank that can do a lot of farming, and Akka in the 50B is not going to be able to kill him, so Splatty is going to survive there. We've got a bunch of different balls going on all over the map. Eos manages to survive in his bat chat as well, and critically, I don't think that Cashback have enough HP and enough guns here to pull this one back. Splatty now driving in towards the BZ, trying to protect his team captain, trying to keep Frugo alive. I don't think it really matters either way.
I don't think it matters either, as Twilight at this point in time, without a driver, without a loader, still able to pick up Frugo though. but W, they do have 4 tanks versus 3. They have more HP, they have Splotty. Crucially, with that E50M, that can provide a lot of DPM if he actually manages to penetrate the target, that is. And now Itox coming in from the upper side here to deliver another alpha blow in towards the Cashback tanks. Finally, Splotty able to do it. Brainbreaker to pick it up, and only Barbarian left, but gets removed by Ios, and W swing back on Cliff.
I think this game is just one off of the opening, personally. I think that's just better opening. Cashback forced into an awkward situation. The 50Bs, they do decent damage on the guys from W, crossing through 1-2 in towards Donut, but it's nowhere near enough damage. Like, realistically, the 50Bs would have to basically delete one whole tank, and it looks kind of weird that W is so strong in that game, because they had the BZs out of the fight for so long, but I think the positions just favor them so much. And I mentioned Splatty in the game. When those 50Bs repush from the 1 line, which they have to do because they can't bait their teammates, look at that. Splatty, 6.6k in the prime position to farm, and he delivers, only bouncing 3 shots.
Yeah, exactly. And at least one of those 3 shots was bounced when the game realistically was already over. So good job for him being put on the spot and really starting to shine there. And yeah, that repush with the Batchats. I mean, Batchat, super powerful tank, but what it doesn't have is a lot of armor, a lot of HP, or a lot of sustainability. And that is really what W were able to take advantage in this round, just removing those crucial assets from the team of Cashback. And yeah, from there on out, I mean, we do finally have a match on our hands. This round, to be honest, not as close as the ones on Westfield, which maybe gives a little bit of hope on towards the side of W, and maybe also their fans, because that, especially the second round on Westfield, quite the heartbreak.
Yeah, definitely. But they're not that far away. Let's not pretend that the first map was a complete blowout. They just need to be a bit cleaner in their shooting, a bit cleaner in their decision making, and overall just more effective. And they can definitely raise it to that level. But can you maintain it for the full series is the question.
I mean, best of 7 already one of the, I mean, I don't want to say long, but less short formats than best of 5. So obviously
the medium level. Yeah,
the medium level. Let's say like that. So I think while players don't tire out throughout a best of 7, it definitely starts to become a bit of a mind game deeper into it. Which we haven't yet. So let's watch the second round on Cliff. Double 50B, a BZ75, a 277, double Batchat, and an RHM.
Yeah, both teams this time bringing the light tank. They want the early info. Cashback again rocking double 50B, double BZ, 1 Batchat, and a CS63. So both sides clearly wanting the early info that they lacked in the previous round. I do wonder about that. What specific scenarios, because it's going to be very intricate details, the specific scenarios in which we do or don't want to bring a light tank. All 7 spotted on the side of W, so Liberty doing a fantastic plane. On the other hand, only 4 spotted on the side of Cashback, and that is a big deal on Cliff, because you need to be able to react very quickly to the info that's available. Cliff also misses a shot, which means he's not going to get an immediate replay.
He's not going to get an immediate replay, but what we are going to get is possibly an immediate repush, as a lot of tanks are once again going to be here at the Donut. Frugo once again in the hold-down position, so kind of a similar start, but now the double BZ by Cashback is going to come in, and it wants to hit like a truck, but it does back off here, seeing this many autoloaders. Little from the backlines coming in with a reloading 50B, trying to pull some shots, and Frugo is going to be the first one to the grave, as this time around, the Cashback focus fire a lot better. Ios down and out.
Yeah, Eos gets absolutely deleted in his Batchat, and that is not what you want for the side of W. You need your Batchats to stay alive so they can pop that ability. and keep that DPM going. Brainbreaker now pushing in his BZ, but there's not really anything less to save here. His teammates are pretty much already dead. Both 50Bs are a one-shot. Jackifer is going to fall shortly as well. Clerf is getting harassed by Akka in the 50B. Despite being on reload, he's just going to bully him and force him into the open so the rest of his team can shoot him. And I have to say, this is probably the most dominant round we've seen so far in this matchup. Cashback absolutely rolling over W 7-0.
Yeah, Cashback taking a mop and absolutely wiping the floor with W on this second round of Cliff here. Yeah, if the first one wasn't close, then this one had a mountain between the two teams. 7-0 is... It always means something went wrong with the tactic. It either means hard counter or miscommunication, like miscall by the FC. 7-0 is not something that happens due to individual player mistakes.
I think it's similar to what we saw in the previous round, where it was kind of won on opening, but W didn't really help their cause with the way that they reacted to what was in front of them, right? I also have to correct myself at the start. If in order to get a replane or to get your ability popped again for Clerf, you need to spot 4 tanks at the start, which is what he did. So he had a plane anyway. It wouldn't have made any difference in the outcome of that battle anyway, because they were already pushing in and brawling with each other. And it is a key point to bring up as well. The planes on Cliff are just so important to get that early info. I just wonder if maybe that's playing a contributing factor to the lack of responsiveness from W.
Yeah, I mean, as we can see, the shooting certainly wasn't the issue. Across the entirety of the team, we have 3, make that 5 missed shots, but actually like 3 non-penetrations. So the shooting, not the issue. It was definitely down to openings and then reactions, where Cashback have just excelled. And this also means with the 3-1 scoreline, we are already dangerously close to what might be the end of the match, because 3-1 means a match point, but 3-1 also means we are going to switch the map. So let's have another look at the pick and ban graphic, because my little goldfish brain wasn't able to remember, but fortunately we do have the asset here. And yes, you were correct. It's going to be Murovanka.
Yeah, and Murovanka's been a pretty good map for W, so there's a chance that they could bring it back, but at this point in time, when your opponent's already on match point, they have a lot of opportunities to close out this game. So maybe you can rally the troops and bring it back a little bit, but the odds that you're going to win 3 rounds in a row against Cashback seems pretty unlikely.
The odds are low, but never 0. So for W's sake, let's hope that they're going to put another 2 at least on the board here, because obviously 2 points would mean tiebreaker, which would also in turn mean that W at least gets something from this match, which would be 1 point. But we are not there yet. Currently, things looking pretty grim, which is mostly down to this Westfield at the start that Cashback were able to decide vastly in their favor, 2-0. Quick rounds, close rounds, but at the end of the day, prevailing in either.
I think the sad thing is that from W's point of view, especially when we look at that first round where iTox went close on Westfield, they definitely should have picked up at least 1 round, and the second round on Westfield, they very possibly could have won as well, if but and maybe, but you know, it's such fine margins, the score could be completely different.
Interesting stuff, though. This time from Cashback coming out, they were leaning very heavy into the super heavies. This time around, not a single one of those. So a complete change of pace on Murovanka from them with a T57, double CS, a Centurion Action X, and triple 430U.
We've seen something like this before, though, from LTP triple 430U into the cap. T57 heavy was also used a bit last season. Just a beautiful tank that's going to give you immediate burst fire and DPM, so it looks like Cashback want to push aggressively towards the cap circle. They don't have a light tank. Curiously though, they're sending double CS towards the mid strike, so wanting to deny W that as an option.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously want to take that middle strike to keep it from the enemy. Ooh, big shot by Frugo in the 60 TP in towards Iset, though he's going to reset the strike momentarily as Clerf already in that RHM is going to try to take it. obviously in mind that he will have to reset. The strike in the middle of the map also getting resetted. Jackify inspiring against the CS63, so little is now going to come, but he is going to find Brain Breaker in the bat chat as well here. Iset already down towards one shot, and yes, the cap is still ongoing, but I think Klurf already has managed to take up a strike, and this might be detrimental for the efforts of Cashback. This is why we see them now abandoning cap. This is full panic. This is full emergency mode coming out from the team in pink.
I think it's too late, though. It's way too late because, Frugo takes a lot of damage, so Liberty equally down to just 85 points of health. Eos has managed to pull back into a way more defensive position, so he's going to be pretty comfortable there. Jackiffer should be able to pick up this kill on towards Little, and he does so. Eos now actually pushing forwards, emboldened by the HP advantage that his team has provided, and pushes forward into that 1v1 with the 430U. He doesn't technically need to take this fight, but his team is winning across the map, so it's not too big a deal, and 430Us in those 1v1s can be a little bit awkward, but the cleanup crew is here for the side of W, and again, it's another round just like we saw from Cliff, where it's pretty much just won on the opening. The way that Cashback set up with this double CS in mid, they were just never able to achieve anything. The 1-to-1B of Jackiffer was always going to win a 1v1 versus a CS. They didn't have a light tank either to stop Klurf or to plane him from taking the strike in the forest. Just, yeah, that's the way it goes.
Honestly, I think the interactions at the very start, when no damage had been dealt yet, up until the first shot of damage decided the game, in my opinion. First, the plane spotting out the 430U in towards the cap gave W the information what actually was happening, and then the response that happened was a little bit lucky at first, and then absolutely perfect to follow it up. Because Frugo resets Iset in the CS63, that means he has a little bit longer to take the mid-strike. And then this interaction gives Jackify enough time to get into position to start resetting the CS continuously, which means after that, because Klurf already takes the other strike, this means Jackify would get the second one, because the Batchet is there to cover Jackify. I realize this all sounds very big brain right now, but bottom line, you know, Cashback cannot cap. And this is why they need to make this move that is doomed from the start.
Sure, and I don't want to burst your big brain bubble, but I'm pretty sure with the timing, because it takes 15 seconds to collect that strike, even with I said getting reset as soon as he got into it, and then he gets blocked for, I think it's about 5 seconds, I can't remember exactly, but I don't think that timing would have changed anything. I think Jackiffer would always get there in time to reset that strike. The only possibility then is that maybe he bounces his shot. But I think if we look at this from Cashback's point of view, right, why do you want to bring double CS? You want to bring double CS because, one, you can move aggressively towards the middle of the map, and two, you get the mini strikes, right? But you don't get mini strikes from the start of the game. You don't get a level 1 charge, so they actually need to shoot someone in order to collect it. And I think IZ should have had one available, but he ended up not using that. Either he didn't use it, or it missed on towards Klurf, so Klurf was able to take that strike for free, so the cap was never under pressure. I would like to know, like, do a post-mortem on that, as to what went wrong, but one of those two CSs definitely should have had a mini-strike available to stop Klurf.
Well, there will be the replays of all the matches that are going to be uploaded, so if some people want to really dig deeper into this, they will be able to. Now, however, it hasn't really changed. W still need to win this round if they want to take home anything countable, and they will try to do so with one E100, a Batchet, a Centurion, double Fosh B, an EBR, and an RHM.
Meanwhile, Cashback are bringing an E100 Mouse, double Batchet, 430U, a Ho-Ri, and Liberty bringing the Tasak once more. So, already off of the lineups both of these teams are bringing, I'd say W are quite fortunate that Cashback don't look like they have an immediate brawl setup. They have a Ho-Ri and a Tasak, so that immediately means the EBR is going to have a little bit more impact in towards this game. We'll see if he's actually able to find that. It's just the possibility is there. Klurf now trying to take radar, and he does get it again. We've seen this before from Liberty, just not being able to deny the radar, which is almost the entire reason that you would bring it to sack in that situation, so you can blind spray, but just not able to get it in time. So once again, early info being taken.
Early info being taken, and this does enable Frugod with the Foch B to push up here. Good plane in towards the radio tower here, and Liberty does actually get reset, so the radio tower not being taken right now. I don't think Liberty in that mouse, Twilight in that mouse is going to be able to take it. He abandons it, takes some shots on the approach away on towards the house, and he is going to stay safe now. Klurf getting spotted in that RHM, taking a big one to the face. I think that was the Hori.
Yeah, he'll be alright though, because the reason he was spotted was probably directly by Twilight and not from Liberty's plane, so Liberty was not able to immediately replane Klurf in that situation. Klurf now trying to take control of the strike, and I will stress this again, Liberty doesn't have a plane, so he cannot stop Klurf from taking the strike. He can only blind spray at the moment. Twilight in all kinds of trouble, and the double bat is spotted out on A7. So much info for the side of W right now, but Klurf has been deleted. He's being found out. I'm not sure how he got spotted. I don't know if Liberty somehow managed to manifest a plane, but Klurf is no more.
Klurf indeed no more, and that is a big problem now coming into play for the team of W. Brainbreaker trying to do what he can, does get spotted however, and that is a Tessak and a Batchat that he's playing against. That is not something you want to drive into. Takes one, takes two, takes three, takes a lot from the Tessak as well. Is wheeled currently, tries to duck and weave, gets respotted because of shooting, and now Little is trying to overpeak. Liberty with the Tessak also almost reloaded, but it doesn't matter as Little able to shut it down, and this play by Klurf and into the play by Brainbreaker really opens up the map now for Cashback that have been quietly capping with I said.
Yeah, like a house of cards, it collapses. Klurf falls first, and then Brainbreaker falls second. 22 seconds left on the cap now, and W being 2 tanks down. There's going to be no way back in this one. 15 seconds left on the cap. The double bat chat now pushing up. Splatty being forced to suicide into the open to reset just to keep this game going, and that's only going to help Cashback pad their DPG just a little bit more as the cap gets reset, so they will just go for the kills at this point. But Cashback once again a commanding display.
Yeah, indeed. Cashback showing us exactly how it's done, at least when the opponents start making mistakes, and that is realistically what happened here. Brainbreaker and Klurf both dying in quick succession. After that, realistically, you do not come back into the game in Onslaught or Murovanka if you didn't manage to accumulate a humongous advantage before, which realistically W was not able to. Yes, they were arguably a tiny bit ahead in the information department as well, but just 2 tanks being picked up like this is obviously extremely hurtful, and it is going to hurt them even more considering what this outcome of the game does actually mean, because Cashback are going to take 4 points, and W, despite getting 2 on the board, are gonna go home with 0 today.
Yeah, nil point for the side of W from this one. And you know, in order to win games, it's not always about making the best moves, but making less mistakes than your opponent, and Cashback certainly did that. And if the game wasn't already over after Klurf died for free, it definitely was when Brainbreaker pushed up in towards A7. I'm not really sure why he did that. I feel like that was just a desperate move, because I don't know why you would assume that the Batchats have left when they were only last spotted there like 1 minute prior, not even 1 minute. I was trying to keep an eye on the plane situation for like the majority of that game, but literally the moment I wasn't paying attention, suddenly Klurf was dead. So again, it's like, I just wonder, I feel like Liberty must have blind sprayed the bush, and then obviously when he does damage, he gets a plane. So I feel like he must have blind sprayed the bush, immediately got a plane, planed him, and then he got deleted by the rest of his team sniping.
Possibly.
That's what my scenario is.
Once again, something for the replays, but first of all, let's take a look at the damage numbers and the whole with quite the impact here. Squeezy, 6k to his name, another kill as well, almost perfect shooting, and yeah, you gotta give it to Liberty in that Tessak, even though the opening maybe wasn't the best. Somehow, once again, Liberty playing the 1v2 on Murovanka in the Tessak against the RHM EBR combo, and once again coming out ahead. How does this man continuously do it?
Well, they pulled it back, right? And because the opening was actually quite bad. He let Clerf got radar for free. Twilight was getting farmed. They tried to do their super heavy shield on the radar, which didn't work either because there was enough different angles provided from the side of W. But I'll just bring it back to the same point I said. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes ends up winning the game, and Cashback basically just let W do that for them. Squeezy doing 6k in the Ho-Ri. The Ho-Ri is a bit of a fringe tank, but it's becoming more and more of a commonality.
Yeah, I think that's because we are seeing more and more super heavy tanks, and the Ho-Ri with the 360 alpha pen, obviously better normalization than APCR as well. It just doesn't really struggle against the likes of Mouse or E100. And like even the 60 TP that has some annoying auto bounces, like everything else is just, well, something's out of bounds, everything else is out of pen. LTP versus Mafia, though, is coming up, and I think for LTP, this is already kind of a very important point in the season, because I mentioned before that any of the first 3 teams winning today already secure their spot in the playoffs. Congratulations to Cashback for doing that, and Mafia is going to have the chance for just that in a few minutes when we'll be back. Stay tuned.
your winners. Your Onslaught Legends Series champions will be Cashback.
Mafia are your Fragstore Winter Invitational champions. They take it
24 and the old champion. It is the new champion. Hit and run. The trophy goes. They've done it.
Are you live in this?
Welcome back and hello to, okay, I have to say it, Onslaught Legends Series, Season 2, Phase 2, Day 2, Match 2. Here we go. It's going to be LTP versus Mafia. What are your thoughts, Muff?
Well, LTP, of course, the team currently in 5th place, and they definitely need some points if they want to try and make it into those top 4 playoff spots. Obviously, their best opportunity to pick up points is going to be against Darkside, which has looked like the weakest team out of this bunch so far. But if you can snatch some points off of Mafia, that would definitely go a long way. The baguette, an icon at this point of French culture, right there, front and center.
At the forefront indeed, and to be honest, Joy is the only one that's looking kind of grim in those pictures. The rest of them, well, maybe together with Nepal, but the rest of them seem to be pretty happy to be here, and as well they should be. They've been playing together for quite some time, but have had very few appearances on the big stage. But here they have been for OLS. They've made it through Phase 1. They are in Phase 2 now, but that means the opponents, on average, are going to get more difficult. Talking about difficult opponents, here is Mafia.
Yeah, Mafia, the team that before the season started, before we saw any of the games, I tipped to maybe be able to be our final champions. I think the pickup of Yuzek was a pretty big deal for them, and obviously they won the Winter Invitational, so they were on a pretty big roll. Since the OLS started, though, it's kind of looked, it's not been super inspiring, I would say, but I think that would be overcritical to say that they've played bad. I think they've just done a solid job, and ultimately in the regular season, until the playoffs come, that's kind of all you need to do.
Exactly. Community predictions, 88% for Mafia. LTP there, only 12. Yet again, I think that is kind of fair, especially since what we've seen recently from LTP. I mean, 2 good rounds against Cashback, but other than that, that was kind of really it, right?
Yeah, that would be one way of putting it. It's kind of in the same boat as W in terms of what we've seen, where they definitely have potential, and you can see the opportunities, the possibilities for them to get themselves into some of these matches, but just not quite having the edge, the extra bit of fire to pull it through.
But maybe LTP will be able to surprise us, just like they were able in Phase 1, for example, against Cashback, where they were able to get that tiebreaker point. Conrad, though, for Mafia, has been quite the performer as well. And the thing is, we show a lot of players that have just below, around, or a bit above 3k DPG, but you have to keep in mind that is OLS only. That is essentially against the cream of the crop of the players on the EU server. And for that kind of environment to do this kind of DPG, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I feel like don't want to discredit the players, but I feel like it's just a carbon copy, because pretty much all of them have about 3k average and 90% win rate, because they're all just cracked at their game. But I think critically, from Comrade's stats there, it says that he's played Batchat in 26 out of 31 games, so most of his battles, and averaging 3k. That means that he's able to do one clip, survive, and then do a bit of extra damage in addition to that, which is pretty much like round winning if you're a Batchat. Like, if you can survive your first clip and then do a bit more or contribute more after that point, then it's a major bonus.
Okay, let's see if any of those maps are going to provide a major bonus to either of the teams. Ghost Town being picked up by LTP. I remember some pretty weird rounds against Ping in phase number 1. Then we have Mafia selecting Airfield, so they really want to put LTP through the technical test of it all. After that, we might be headed towards Pilsen, and if we don't have a victor in regular time, then the overtime is going to be on trusty, good old Himki.
Yeah, I like Himmels as a tiebreaker. I think it's a pretty banger map. Always is, pretty much whatever format you play. Airfield being picked by LTP, it did seem like a map they wanted to make one of their home maps, one of their first picks, but... you mentioned that game in Phase 1 versus Ping. I believe that was actually the first day, and I think both teams, it was a very scuffed performance. A lot of like teething troubles. I think they were just trying to settle the nerves and get into the action and sort of relax into the way the league works, perhaps. So hopefully from their side, we're going to see something better from on Ghost Town this time. Mafia also, they're not averse to playing a bit of Ghost Town. They like picking it as well.
Yeah, indeed. I think both teams are very much fine with Ghost Town, but the fact remains that, Mafia is obviously the big kid on the block here and the team to beat for LTP, which is not going to be an easy task, but I think Ghost Town also a map that could be lending itself to it, because a lot of very easy mistakes can be made by the light tanks on the, I believe, eastern part of the map, where it's basically super open. There are only bushes, and if you get spotted, you're dead. So the potential for upsets is there if Mafia do misstep. And Ghost Town also one of those maps where you can do pull off those immediate cap aggression plays, which, if the opponent doesn't respond correctly, and most importantly, timely, those can work out beautifully too. So let's see what LTP have cooked up for us, and also let's see if Mafia are prepared for this one, as Ghost Town might be already a pointer in towards the direction into which this match might be going. LTP certainly have a plan. That much can be concluded from the lineup already. Quadruple E100, double T57, and a 1-2-1. Not the B version, mind you, the normal one.
Yeah, the 1-2-1 finding more usage this time on Ghost Town. Only seen it on Ensk so far. Mafia rocking the can opener. I think we have a pretty good idea of what his intentions are. We've seen it before on this map. IS-7 double Batchat, Leo, and then the double light tank, 1 T100 and RHM. T100 obviously going to be good for hiding behind one of the little mounds in the field there so that you can't get picked up. All 7 spotted in the beginning by the planes, both light tanks using them, so one of them will plane towards the left and one towards the right. So full info for the side of Mafia, and that's going to allow them reasonable time to react and decide what they want to do about this German super heavy squad moving through the middle of the map.
Yeah, I was already going to say, I'm not the biggest fan, actually, of the 1-2-1 immediately committing towards the outwards strike here, because if you're playing with 0 light tanks, you don't realistically have a proper way to cover him, and that is going to be what is problematic already. The strike is being taken by Uzek here, or Orzek rather, that should have enough time to pick it up and then be able to reset that triple E100 in the cap. Nepal with that T57 now driving forwards, wants to possibly block the can opener as soon as it starts going on towards the stairs. 6 seconds, but in comes the big strike. 1200 damage just like that. Orzek is going to have to brawl it out a little bit with the 1-2-1, but the tanks that are on the field should be able to lend some support, to give some help, and that is indeed what we see coming in. Orzek, though, down towards 500 here, heals up a little bit, and again, the cap starts ticking. Zeton even managed to get unspotted.
Yeah, Orzek just needs to chill here because his light tank will take care of Zeton in the 1-2-1. The key player here right now is the Batchat that's flanking around. I believe that is Uzek or Barkiz making a move in towards A6. I'm not sure what kind of angles he's actually going to get there on towards the cap. Zeton does fall. We knew that. That was an inevitability. Noxious now is going to get pressured. He's on reload. in the T57, and these E100s, they're just hanging them out to dry. They're just chilling in their cap, just having a good time, being AFK, 15 seconds left on their cap, but Mafia should be able to get the resets in time without really needing to suicide anyone as they close the net. Nepal's here in the T57 to try and punish anyone that wants to peek, but the cap does get reset, and Orshek critically has stayed alive in the can opener, and that is exactly why you bring him. He can play on the stairs, he has the gun depression to get those resets, and now all that Mafia need to do is disengage and just run away from the German super heavies, because they cannot catch them, and the longer this game goes on for, Mafia are going to win.
Exactly. Scattering to the winds are the tanks of Mafia that are still, like, behind in HP, but is it really going to matter? Probably not. Conrad, though, getting spotted out in the open, but does get despotted. That was not a plane that was keeping him lit. Nepal, only one shot left in the chamber, is not able to pick up Orzek in that can opener that has not lost another point of HP at this point in time, and now LTP is starting to drive back towards the cap, but that is just going to open them up towards the same thing that we saw happening in the earlier phases of the game. That just means that A-King possibly might be open for another few shots here, because, like, yeah,
it's
Mafia,
over. It's literally
right
over.
now, yeah, they're picking them to pieces just from distance. There is no way that those E100s are going to start a march of the elephants and find some success with it.
Yeah, the only possibility they have is that they might catch Profuse, but he's not going to let them do that. He's wise to it. He realizes that he's the free pick right now, so he runs away. And to be honest, even if he died, it still wouldn't change anything, because it's full super heavies. They can't do anything. They can't go anywhere. Mafia have them literally surrounded in the entire map. Look at the map right now. They've got a batch out at A5. They've got a light tank taking the strike on the 1 line. They've got a light tank on 9-0 line. Orshek holding down the cap resets in his can opener. And then Profuse just spotting close as well. Kono picks up the kill. He somehow managed to survive despite running away in the middle of the open. And it's just such a committed strategy from LTP. And if your opening doesn't work, it's just an inevitability. This was always going to happen. This is what happens when you don't have any flexibility in your lineup and you just give the opponent full info for free and full control of the map.
Death by 1,000 cuts is what we are witnessing currently as Mafia do stand the test against this super heavy commitment in towards the cap. They got the resets that they needed. They kept the can opener alive for as long as it was required. And this is why we now see Profuse adding a little bit of insult to injury, suiciding his IS-7 to just speed up the game for just that little bit. Yeah, Mafia, good reactions, good calls, perfect.
There needs to be more of a plan of action from the side of LTP of how they're going to prevent resets from coming in on towards the cap. They sent the 1-2-1 close to the strike, sure, that's cool, but he can't actually do anything. Your team doesn't have control over the field side. They had this double T57, which initially was suppressing the can opener, and obviously the can opener he can't peek to reset the cap, but Mafia, I don't know who it was, whichever batch had it was, it might have been a team decision or an individual player choice, but whoever the batch out was that went over to the 1 line to immediately collect that strike, it was a very, very smart move because it alleviated the pressure. They picked up a strike for free. LTP had no one on that side of the map. Reset all 3, and then, you know, the longer you can stall it out, the more, the greater the chances of winning the round.
And all of this comes off the initial information as well that was being gathered by the RHM and the T100. Like, it's not a given that both of those LTs are actually going to throw their plane in the start of the game, because you don't know what you're playing against, of course. And sometimes, if you're playing double light tank, one of them will hold on to the plane to signal to the enemy team, like, yo, you're playing against the light tank, and then he can possibly spot the other light tank while he's driving on towards the information tower. That is something we've seen.
I disagree. Like, the whole point of taking double light is so that you can get, like, you can guarantee that you get full info. That's just my opinion. I don't think the element of surprise from taking double light tank is really a thing anymore, because it is enough of a, like, it's common, a very common pick, right? The surprise comes from if you pick an EBR, for example, and try to send him aggressively to outspot the light tank, then it becomes, like, more important, that element of surprise. But if you're just picking double light tank, I don't think teams are really too concerned about whether the opponent knows that or not.
Be it as it may, like the full information at the start of the game definitely was critical.
Yeah.
Because this gave all the information and like the play of the Batchat on the outside to immediately go on towards the cap. If he doesn't have full info, he doesn't do it. But
exactly,
since he sees 7 tanks, he's like, all right,
like
that one.
I would almost hesitate to say, I kind of thought it at the time. I was hesitating to say that the game was already over as soon as they spotted all 7, because I just failed to see how they were going to effectively prevent Mafia from resetting the cap.
Well, adjustment coming out from LTP. This time only 3 E100s together with double T57 once again and double RHM, so they will have light tanks.
Right, so it's like immediate reaction adjustment. It's like, okay, the strat was great, but we didn't have double light tanks. So if we just do that, then it will work, right? That's my train of thought, at least if I could read the minds of the LTP guys at the start. Only 3 tanks spotted. So not great info for the side of LTP. There's 3 German super heavies once again spotted moving through the middle of the map. So both teams flying blind a little bit here. Mafia committing very aggressively towards the 1-2. They definitely want to take this part of the map. So that means that Nepal is going to collect a strike for free in the RHM, which is kind of useful. And I think he will realize soon that there is no one from the side of Mafia on this part of the map. His T-57s are actually crossing on top of the balcony through the middle of the open. The E-100s are even crossing as well. This is kind of bizarre. They're not leaving anyone to anchor the south part of the city, the center of town. They're driving straight on through.
Well, they do still have the RHM at K4, but that is not really a deterring factor. Like, yes, he can spot, but he doesn't have the DPM to realistically do any sort of actual damage. So Zitten, at some point in time, he will have to leave, and then the map will be in this strange state where you were before at a north-south split, but now you're kind of west and east. As Zitten does see Prefuse, does give another shot of damage, or enable some at least, but now he will have to leave. Aking with a swing and a miss against Prefuse, but Noxious has arrived, and that T-57, normally kind of a derpy gun, but now he has the ability active and does put 2 out of 2 at least in towards him. Prefuse does have to start bailing.
Ooh, Prefuse got a bit scared and thought that he would run away, but I think he got replaned as he tried to do so, so probably good timing there from one of the LTP light tank players. Now, this time, we've got cap pressure applied. It does get reset, but it's only on to 1. These E100s, Aking and Joy, doing a good job of splitting up on the capture circle to make sure that only one of them can get reset. And now, this time around, Mafia have a genuine problem on their hands. They don't have an effective way to reset the cap up. They do have a second strike, of course. I might have just forgotten about that part, but still the cap is going to be a problem, down to 30 seconds now. Double light tank repressuring, and Comrade is going to get caught here, but Nepal actually misses the shot, so Comrade probably going to back out of that one without taking anywhere near as much damage as he perhaps would have expected, but still the HE is nasty on those RHMs. 15 seconds left, and the cap, once again, it's still a problem.
The cap is still a problem, as Zitten will be able to deter Conrad from peeking up too much good playing coming out from the player in blue, however, and he is going to start juggling against Zitten, both of them trading APCRs in towards the turret. As the cap is down to 10 seconds, this prompts Barkis in towards a push up onto it. He needs to deliver the reset shot, and it does come in, and HE in towards the front of Joy is going to start healing up, and that once again means 30 seconds, and Kono picking up the strike. This is a little bit of pressure avoided, but Yuzek has made it behind enemy lines in the Batchat himself, so he's going to start causing a little bit of trouble. Once again, capped to 16 seconds. There was a reset on towards the strikes, but I think Aking and Joy realize they cannot really stay here or they'll get reset once again, and Algier with the T-57 against the very low IS-7 of Prefuse might be able to pick it up as he does start engaging, and Conrad completely blows up Algier. 2 more shots in the chamber. That should be enough for the IS-7. One of them connects, and the second one as well. He is going to win the 1v2.
Yeah, Algier rotating back in towards K4 was actually critical, because that freed up one of the light tanks to play more towards the 890 line, and that punished Yuzek and prevented him from being able to play on towards the 7 line. LTP now with a huge advantage both in HP and guns left in the game. Yuzek does manage to find a kill, but Nepal is here and he's got HE loaded up and ready to go, so Yuzek will fall. That is an inevitability, and once he does so, Mafia won't really have any possibility of coming back into this one. LTP with a good adjustment from what we saw in the first round, which was a bit of a disaster, just adapting the strategy, and turns out that bringing double light tank is pretty useful.
Double light tank pretty useful, especially when they team up on towards single line light tanks and then call for T57s in support. So yes, LTP in this round number 2 on a Ghost Town with essentially a perfect adjustment, and they are going to reward themselves with a hard fought, but in the end never really endangered round number 1 for them on the board. It's going to be 1-all. And Mafia must be left wondering, like, yo, the first round was so easy. Where did this one go wrong?
Yeah, it does. It is quite... It's funny how things turn around like that, right? And just it's so bad in the first round and so good in the second one. What I thought was funny from that game, though, was that Profuse made this very deliberate attempt to push all the way up towards the enemy's balcony, and then he was like, oh, okay, I'll just leave now. And then he got planed while leaving, and he basically did a spotting run in an IS-7 and just bled all of his health for it.
Yep. Good shots by the players on LTP as well, but I don't think that's really what changed the game. I think LTP, just with the better calls as to what to do, with the better reactions, generating good engagements. For example, the double light tank, pulling both of those, plus after that pulling the T57 that just arrived in time to essentially do cleanup duty and free that part of the map from enemy tanks. That is something that can be so crucial on Ghost Town, because the more angles you control, the more freedom you have in selecting positions that are effective in dealing damage on towards the enemy tanks. And yeah, Profuse did a play.
It was high impact, but for the opposition team, unfortunately. I feel bad for Ozjek. He tried to compensate. He did 6.9k on the losing team, and it was quite a convincing win as well. So doing 6.9 in your E100 is a pretty fine job there. But we can write Ghost Town off, put it in the bin, throw it away. Now we're going to move on to a different sort of sandy map, Airfield.
Yeah, having a full map played and it being split 1-1 means we are going down from a best of 7 towards a best of 5, and there has already been a best of 5 played between both of those teams, and that was during phase 1 where, well, LTP didn't have a fun time. It was a 3-0 for Mafia, if memory serves correctly.
I have no idea. I can't remember that game, and there's so many matches.
It was over very quickly.
Yeah, and there's so many matches in phase 1 because it's a round robin, everyone plays everyone. There's so many best of 5s that go by so quickly. I have no idea what happened in that first meeting.
I think it was just 3-0 and it was quick and painful.
Fatality.
At least immediate fatality. Like headshot, boom. LTP Triple E100, it's served well in the second round of Ghost Town, this time, however, with a T57, a 121B, a 430U, and an EBR.
Meanwhile, Mafia are bringing double mouse, double T57, 430U, the Minotauro, and Comrade in the RHM. I find that a bit curious because normally YOLO is their light tank player, so perhaps YOLO isn't here today. That would be my guess because he's pretty much always been Mafia's light tank player, so it'll be interesting to see how Comrade gets on. LTP splitting up at the start, which means that Comrade only spots a couple of the heavies.
Yeah, he does see the triple super heavy plus the 121B, so Mafia know that they are playing against a lineup that wants to brawl as Synops driving over. But to be honest, the punishment could have been worse.
Yeah, that is totally fine. Synops will be more than content with that. He's got radar available. That's going to lock Mafia out from the north part of the map, at least for the time being. And LTP look to be set up pretty well for this one at the moment. They've got a 121B of Zitin, on the B line, and that's going to be providing some amazing covering fire on towards the likes of Joy, who's pushing into the strike. So LTP look to be pretty well set up for this play that we know is going to come from Mafia. Profuse has done this so many times before. He just loves yeeting it straight down into that strike. He's going to jump straight on top of Joy, critically resets him before he starts collecting that strike, and now the trades start coming out.
Indeed, the trades start coming out. The T-57 starting to clip against the E-100s of Aching and Noxious. Those are two German super heavies that they need to chew through. And indeed, Aching taking a lot of damage is going to go down towards 900. And now Joy and Profuse are going to be brawling it out. Noxious trying to provide another shot of damage. Is going to get that one. Nepal is reloaded. He's going to force back Yuzek in that Minotauro, who activates the Juggernaut ability to mitigate the damage. And once again, the T-57s have reloaded and start melting through Joy. That is the second E-100 that we see drop a lot of HP, and indeed all of it, as he goes down, and Profuse survives on a one-shot.
He does, and that is very important. It means he's going to collect a strike, unless Synops wants to go for a cheeky peek in that EBR and prevent that from happening. But the opening trade's definitely going in favor of Mafia here. They're up health and up in guns, and Algier may have overcommitted here. Yuzek wants to pick up that kill. He's now in crossfire with Comrade, but Comrade's going to have to run away. He can't fight to 430U all by himself. Nepal now trying to peek into this middle part of the map, but he doesn't have the support that he needs right now. Mafia critically having that HP advantage. Comrade did manage to get out, managed to get away from Algier in the 430U, but Algier can't really do anything right now to affect the game. The light tank is always going to keep him pinned. He can't collect the strike. Comrade is going to make sure that that doesn't happen, although Algier is trying to sneak it away from him. Comrade is actually not going to be able to stop that, so Algier managing to collect the strike. That's very cheeky, that. And Barkiz just lurking on the balcony, waiting for him to overstep.
Profuse, though, was able to kill Synops in the EBR, so now it's going to be battle 5 against 7, and LTP are playing from a very much behind position, not only in terms of guns, but also HP. Aching 510, that's not a lot, and oh, Algier getting tracked here, taking the full clip. I mean, Barkis is going to take the strike in return, but Aching falling to Yuzek in the Minotauro. That only locks it down further if you're LTP, that you're not really going to be able to wiggle out of this one. Algier going close, getting picked up too. The T-57 of Nepal is also going to get killed, and this means that Mafia in this first round on Airfield are going to lock in the round win for themselves, once again putting themselves up a point in the match. It's going to be 2-1.
Yeah, able to keep all of the guns alive here, which is kind of what happens on Airfield when you're able to steamroll in this scenario. And with the benefit of hindsight, I do want to question what the point of taking an EBR towards the B line is if you're committing fully to this northern brawl, because you know that we know that we've seen it so many times that Mafia like to repush this part of the map. And sure, the EBR gets you the early info, but doesn't it really tell you everything you kind of already expect, perhaps? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too harshly, but I just wonder how this situation could have gone differently if they sent a Batchat with low noise exhaust, which is extremely powerful, by the way. Those Batchats are very, very sneaky, able to go super unspotted, even if they're very close to the enemy. I just wonder if that fight would have gone differently, because look at it, Synops is only able to do 2 shots of damage, and you can't really blame him for that. Like, the EBR is not really designed for impact in that situation. Aching only doing 1 shot of damage is problematic as well. He bounced 2 shots, but Zitin did a good job doing 3.8, but I think, like, at that point, when you're the primary damage farmer for your team, they're setting you up for success. 3.8 almost seems like it's not enough.
Yeah, and I was kind of hovering there on Profuse for a second, because I was looking for the damage that he blocked, which was 0, because he ended up staying alive on like 510 or something, which is for the E100 of, I believe, Noxious or Joy that had been committed in. that would be a one-shot. So if there had been any kind of block damage surpassing 530, then we would have known that if the shooting had been better or the RNG had been different, then this engagement could have gone differently. But like this, every single shot that the tanks of LTP were actually firing at Profuse, it did end up finding damage. So the firepower was just not enough, and that underlines exactly what you were saying about the EBR, questioning the effectiveness of it. And I think, yeah, if there is a Batchat standing, well, not exactly in the spot because he cannot reach it, but if there is a Batchat somewhere around there,
do you know why?
Change
why
things.
the Profuse didn't bounce any shots? It's because he pushed forwards, completely ignored Joy in the 1v1, and just made sure that he was as difficult to kill as possible for the rest of LTP trying to overpeak. He tucked in as close as he could because he knows that Joy isn't going to be able to output enough damage to be able to kill him. It doesn't matter whether he angles towards him. So the Mouse in that situation coming in clutch by just tucking in and basically just serving up as a distraction.
All right, LTP once again, that triple E100 coming to play together with Zeton in the T57, a 1-1B Amino, and an RHM this time, going to be played by Nepal.
Meanwhile, Mafia rocking double Mouse again. They definitely seem to prefer that over E100s on this particular map. And then we've got double T57, one Batchat, 430U, and Kono rocking the EBR 105, which we've seen him do plenty of times. So, same thing that we saw from LTP on the other side of the map, of course. Kono does get spotted out as well. Is there any damage? There is no shots connecting. So Kono gets in for free. Like, it doesn't really matter that much that the EBR is full health, but it's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal, but it must be feeling good for Kono, who basically gets there with all of his tank still intact. A-King with a Minotauro is going to look a little bit if he can cause some mischief, as both teams seem to be setting out to capture the airstrike, or at least to punish the capture, as Joy does get set in first.
Deja vu.
In the E100, the Uzek, I think with heat blowing up one of the cars close to it, and Joy this time around is going to tuck in. Profuse with the Mouse, his signature move, he's going to come in from above, and he doesn't stop pressing W. In comes Mafia like a blue tide, and they are going to try and pick up Joy. The E100 Armite has been buffed, but not to a point where it can stop all of those shots he's just going to banish.
Yeah, and look at Marcel. He might fall for this situation, but what he did was actually very, very cool. He overpeaked fully, and he was shielding his T-57s. He was shielding his teammates from the incoming fire. But LTP, they're not hanging about. They're not waiting for the T-57 reloads. They just re-push straight back in themselves, and they delete Profuse. He's not going to be able to survive this one at the moment. And LTP, are they going to keep pushing because they will be stuck in this situation? That's going to open up the 430U to start farming them if they want to keep committing here. It might be a bit of an overextension if they want to keep pushing.
Exactly, but the HP regeneration from those E100s really coming in clutch, as Zeton now hanging around in the back. Barca is already thinking what could be happening here. Minotauro of A-King coming around as well, and they do see Ozek. They want to blow him up, but the Minotauro in-clip reload very, very long, and that is why A-King is only now reloaded, but he does keep on pushing. Conrad down towards a one-shot. This one's pretty close with better HP for LTP, and keep in mind, Mafia, they still have that EBR that realistically isn't contributing.
Yeah, this one is done, and Kono, unfortunately for him, doesn't even manage to get the kill on towards Tankistador, so he will fall without getting a kill there. And it's the role reversal once again. This time, LTP coming out on top. They're able to win the trades of who gets to fight for that strike in the north.
2 rounds of Airfield go by without a single gorilla being played. I think that must also be pretty much a novelty. But yeah, 2 rounds. East side wins as well. Maybe East side on West side wins. Maybe West side on Airfield is just better. But now I'm basically pulling your leg a little bit. I think in both of those rounds, it was the teams essentially kind of anticipating how the opponent was playing, and the fact that we had shootouts around that northern strike just meant that the team bringing the EBR didn't have as much firepower.
Yeah, it felt like we were watching the exact same game, just different teams on different sides, right? The EBR just unable to impact the game once again. Joy only able to do one shot of damage. Marcel equally didn't do that much, but like I said, he made a play to sacrifice himself for the team. Kono actually came third on damage for his team, which pretty much tells you all you need to know about how bad this game went, because whether you win or lose, the EBR should never really be the one near the top of the scoreboard. Synop's doing a good job. 100% hit rate, that looks very clean. 10-10-10.
Absolutely. So this means that both maps have now been split 1-1. And we are headed to Pilsen, where we will definitely get 2 rounds on it. I'm trying to recall like either Team Mafia and LTP on Pilsen so far, to kind of get a feel of what we can expect.
I think Mafia played against Ping on it, and they definitely should have lost the round they played against Ping. Ping, like, they just pushed aggressively straight through the mid. Okay, so production is just telling us that both teams have played 2 rounds in this map. Mafia have 100% win rate. LTP have 50% win rate, so not really too much to go off of there. But historically, Mafia like to play more for the field control, and they like to leave what I would call an anchor tank, whether it be an E100 or an E3. Not really an E3 so much these days because of the meta shift, but they usually like to play for field control.
Well, let's see. LTP with a singular E100 double T57, they really like those tanks together with 121 double 430U and an RHM.
Yep, and Mafia bringing double Mouse, double 430U, double Foch B, and Comrade in the RHM. I just love it when the lineups are so clean like that. I find it aesthetically pleasing. Double T57 heavy is always, in my mind, it's always a risk because it's conditional on the T57 heavy players not having a skill issue, which, you know, if you trust your players, it's great, but sometimes those T57s just doesn't deliver on the promise.
Yeah, and even the thing is, I was looking at both lineups and I was getting kind of concerned for LTP, because even if the T57s are not developing any skill issues this game, then the fact remains that, well, they do 888, that's 3,200 damage, but that means in turn the mouse is still going to have above 1k, so that is a lot of HP to go through.
This is interesting by Profuse. He's crossing in the middle of the open. It's a crunch on towards mid. Tankistador is the priority target here. They want to get him down and out of the game. Kono taking a bit of early damage here, but he should be able to survive. Some more shots coming in here. LTP, there needs to be a reaction. They cannot let Tankistador go down for free, and it looks like they're doing a good job. Kono actually falls before Tankistador.
Yeah, Kono going down is definitely going to be a remedy, and Marcel getting evaporated too. I would definitely trade my Inspire Medium for 2 funny button ones, but now Yuzek is going to be the next target, and that one might be a bit more difficult. He is a mouse, but yeah, Synops with that DPM Medium behind him as Barkis in the Foch B is able to find Nepal, so the light tank out of the game for LTP here. Still, both tanks kind of even. Noxious with that T57 coming in, and the mouse does also get picked up, so LTP, after that very interesting opening, sacrificing the Inspire Medium, but in turn giving themselves a good shot at the game. The HP close, but the guns aren't. LTP, they just cannot overexpose with the tanks.
Yeah, they can slow down the game now. Joy takes a shot from Profuse. The HP is still close, despite the fact that it's 5v3 situation at the moment, and Zietin takes one as well. LTP, they do need to be careful here. They've got 2 tanks boxed into the corner, and Joy is taking a bunch of damage from the Foch Bs. I'm not sure what kind of angle. Zietin takes another one as he lets Profuse trade it out of him. This is not what you want to see from LTP. They just lost over 3,000 health in the space of about a minute now. Profuse pressing the advantage, just peeking in here. He cannot find the one-shot because he's being shielded by Noxious, who's now going to peek out with the T57 Heavy. He's got to pen all of his shots here, and Profuse doing the best he can to angle against the T57 Heavy, but Noxious does pen most of the shots there. Profuse does fall, so things stabilizing. It was a bit scary for a moment there, but it's only double Fosh B left.
Yeah, the team of LTP looking like Mahomes a little bit. Some interceptions being thrown, and this one seems to be caught by Orzek as he does convert on towards Synops, who does
strike,
fall.
Though. If Joy gets spotted.
Yeah, this means 4 versus 2 situation, and actually 2 tanks by LTP are 1 strikeable. Barkis has picked up 1 now. Noxious starting to clip out against Orzek, who doesn't seem to have the ability. So far, so good, as Orzek finally with the ability. But the strike, once again, we talked about those. It's going to remove Zitten from the game, and Orzek is going to heal up above those crucial 400 HP that it would take for one shot of the T57 to be a 50-50. And just like that, Mafia back into it, double Fosh B. Those are dangerous tanks.
They are dangerous, and Barkers is on the hunt. He can smell blood in the water. He knows Joy is a one-shot, and he was spotted in this location. Aching is going to try and do the best he can to support. Does Joy manage to get into safety before the Fosh B arrives? No! And Aching is now caught in the middle of the open as well. He's in no man's land. The Fosh B thrives in these kind of situations. Yummy, yummy. The side of an E100. Barkers now elects to back off from this situation. Noxious finds the kill on towards the other Fosh B of Orzek. In the meantime, Bark is now playing the long game. Aching does a good additional shot there as Barkis doesn't manage to make it around the corner, but it's still a very winnable game for him right now. The problem is that LTP are going to have control over the cap, they're going to have control over the strikes, and Barkis needs to find a way to sneak up on them.
Indeed, Barkis needs to find a way, and I think the most dangerous tank for him in this situation actually is Noxious, because he does have the shots in his clip to be able to completely gun him down. But obviously the information given away on towards Barkis by spotting out Aching is a huge factor. Barkis should still have enough time to drive on towards the strike, I do believe. Never mind. The strike does actually take 4 seconds to completely go down. And Aching being completely caught out in the open, but the shot did go wide. And now Barkis does have enough time here. Is Aching able to heal up? No, he isn't, and this is why we see this push off the cap, but that one might be detrimental for LTP. They know they have to commit at this point in time, but as soon as the cap gets abandoned, this means that the jig is up. Both of those tanks are down there, but indeed the shots do find the mark, and Noxious, after the strike goes down, is able to survive 113 HP, and congratulations for LTP to pick up the round, but here I'm actually not sure what happens if everyone dies. Is it then once again the same kills? Yeah, he didn't die. LTP did win the round, but what happens if 7 tanks on both teams die? Is it then again, like, who dealt more damage?
I don't know. Unless you want to go into the micro details of who technically killed the last person before the round ended based off of shell speed, but I can't help but think, I'm trying to think how Barkis could have played that differently. If he got that kill on that E100, missing that shot, that would have saved the round. Look at Noxious, though, coming up clutch, doing 7k in the T57 Heavy. So a big game from him, making up for some misplays by the rest of his team, but just such a very, very close round there. I'm still trying to think what Barkis can do differently in that situation, because it's very awkward for him. I'm imagining that he could try and peek out to spot them without actually committing so that he can use the strike, because the problem for him there is that he needs to shoot them at the same time as doing the strike, and, you know, as fast as he may be with whipping out the strike, he doesn't have enough time. The T57 ability just goes like a machine gun, right? He doesn't, it all happens so fast in 2 seconds. He has to figure out a way to spot them and allow himself time to place the strike before he peaks.
Yeah, I think LTP doing the perfectly correct thing with trying to pressure Barkis in towards a situation where even the firepower of the Fosh B in clip together with a strike isn't enough to eliminate the targets in time. So a clutch round, and for the first time in this match, we do see LTP ahead, and to be honest, at a very important point in time. It is now match point for them, although I cannot help but feel like LTP almost let this one slip. And yeah, what you said, I think, held true. When you're picking double T57, you count on your T57 players to not develop any skill issues. And crucially, especially Noxious, shout out, definitely stood up to the test.
Yeah, I think it also comes with like the anxiety of, oh, I only have a finite number of shells. When you're playing a single shooter, for example, like an E50M or a Centurion AX, you don't have to like think so much about, oh, if I miss these shots, then it's really, really bad, right? Because you're going to have another one coming along in another 4 or 5 seconds. You really got to make it count with the T57s, and Noxious delivered on behalf of his team, so an individual standout performance there, and LTP now putting themselves on match point.
Exactly, LTP now also with a double E100, double T57 once again, so they'll have, pun intended, the option to double down on their performance, even together with an E50M and 430U as well as RHM. So let's see, the opening by LTP actually trying to take a lot of the map early on. And we see Conrad in the RHM of his own lingering around this point of interest there with the spotting tower on the minimap, but he doesn't opt to actually take it, as we see the 430U and the double T57 on the one line, not committing to anything as of yet.
Here's the thing, right? If Mafia were communicating with each other like to an extremely in an extremely proficient way, they would have told everyone that only 3 tanks are spotted at the start. And like I said earlier in one of the previous matches, as Barkis pushes into the strike, you need to get 4 tanks spotted at the start to get a replane, right? And only 3 tanks are spotted on the side of Mafia. So if they were really quick with it and communicated with each other, oh, only 3 of us are spotted, Comrade could have actually snuck the radar there.
Then again, you don't know if it was an RHM or possibly a Tisak, which is not completely out there on Pilsen. And then if he commits onto it and it's a Tisak, then the Tisak sprays and planes.
Sure, that's definitely a possibility, but I think it's a risk worth taking personally.
First of all, though, Profuse taking a risk and taking the artillery strike for himself, which is not the worst thing to have, and that means double strike available for Mafia, as Barkis, despite taking 2 shots from that E50M of Zeton, was also able to take the one on the coal piles. And now some reshuffling going on. The Foch B from those aforementioned coal piles is going to drive around as Tankistador takes 2 to the face by Orzek, who is going to drive a little bit closer on the one line. Needs to be careful. The 430U side scraping, that is not something you really penetrate with the Foch B. Talking about penetrations, Joy taking 2 of those by Mafia is going to lose around 1,000 hit points with that. And Orzek once again starting to open up. Synops does get Amarek, does take 2, but does also, and crucially, make it away.
Yeah, the opening trades slightly favoring Mafia here, as LTP find themselves caught out a little bit in terms of their positioning. Good blind shot there on towards Comrade by Zeton.
And he'll know.
Was it Nepal or Zeton?
It was Zeton, and he'll know because he just fully charged up his ability, I believe. So he can say, like, hey, someone's there, I hit him, I did damage.
Yeah, the problem is, it would have been better if it was Nepal to hit the shot, because then he could get the immediate replane on towards him. But then again, Comrade, after taking a shot, would just fall back into cover, so would be a waste of a plane, although you would get info on what tank it actually is playing on the balcony. Orzek now is going to commit to the one-line strike, so intent being shown here from the side of Mafia, and now the jig is up. They're pushing on towards the cap with the mouse and double 430U. Tankistador penning, I think that was 2 out of 4, so a bit of chip damage. Strike comes in, only hits 2 though, so not the end of the world, but the HP has now equalized. Mafia trading some of that health to get into the cap circle. Ooh, double strike onto Nepal.
Yeah, Nepal getting himself a bit in towards a pickle. The replane is even going to come down. This should enable Conrad to just completely kill Nepal, and now the WT-57 is starting to come and starting to commit, but they're peeking into crossfire as the third strike is actually going to remove the light tank of LTP from the game. And taking a look at the HP, Moff, it's not looking good for the Frenchies.
Oh, they just about get the reset at the last second, but like you said, it doesn't really matter one bit. It's over 10,000 HP advantage for the side of Mafia, just completely punishing any attempt by LTP to repush and get back into this round. And it looks like we are going to tiebreaker.
Yeah, anything but tiebreaker at this point in time would be nothing short of a miracle, as Ozek is about to come off reload. He was able to heal a little bit more of his HP, and indeed quick triple kill makes it a clean game, a 7-0, and all three maps in this matchup do end up getting split 1-1. This also means both teams are going to be taking a point, and yeah, I think for LTP at least, that is a very much needed one. I'm wondering a bit about how they were playing this one out, because it seemed like Mafia was at the end just out-rotating them completely. I am also not sure what Nepal was trying to do there on the coal piles, because he just got caught with his pants down. Like, the pants weren't even down. Like, he had just taken them off and thrown them into the corner.
Yeah, he was running in blind, naked into that situation across the open field. I think he's just gambling at that point that Comrade or the RHM has left, and that he's not going to continue to play balcony when his team is pushing into the cap like that. But to be fair, like, Comrade doesn't really have any reason to leave. His team is in full control of the situation, and the longer that he can stall out and hold a position like balcony and just prevent LTP from flanking and getting in some sort of crossfire from the field, you know, he didn't really have any reason to move. What I did find interesting though was that Mafia had so many strikes available, because I didn't feel like the game was even going on for that long, and somehow they had 3 strikes, which means that they were able to collect 2 from... Oh no, did they get the mid one? They got the mid one, the 1-2 one. Sorry, too many numbers there. They got the one from the 1-2 line. They got the mid
doesn't
strike.
help the case.
Yeah, they got the mid strike, and they got the one in the coal piles as well.
Yeah. So 3 strikes, pretty much enough to eagle-eyes Nepal as a factor in the game. And this means that indeed we are going to treat ourselves to Himmelsdorf. So we are going to go to tiebreaker, and I mean, obviously the teams are going to get a little bit of time now, first of all, to decide which one they want. I can already tell you, because I have taken a sneak peek behind the scenes, that LTP had the faster game, and they can pick side on Himmels, and they do pick North.
Interesting. Don't really know what to make of that, to be honest. Not quite tactically adept in the same way that the Frenchies may be. Maybe they think they've got some sort of advantage from playing on the north of the map. But Himmelsdorf they had some pretty close games before versus Cashback LTP, so they're pretty warmed up on this map. They're pretty battle hardened, I would say.
They're pretty battle hardened, and at least when it comes to RNG or shell RNG as to where the shells fly, if you count the match against Cashback, where, you know, Barbarian hit an absolutely illegal shot. I think, you know, if there is karma, then it should be in favor of LTP right now. But also thinking back, I think the last stream, so 2 days ago, actually ended with an MVY getting caught in, or rather an MVY performing
T57.
very well against the T57. That was LTP not getting the best of it. So let's see what both teams have cooked up. I mean, in a situation like this, I don't think either of them are going to hold back any kind of tactics, because realistically here is going to be where you get the big points that really help you moving forward in this stage. So whatever is going to come out from both teams is likely something pre-prepared, because all teams will have an assortment of tactics and strategies ready for, you know, all maps in the pool that they are not perma-banning. So, yeah, I think this is the first time, I think, in the OLS where we are going to see teams going to the deep end of the strategies. Like, there will be no holding back here in this round.
Maybe. I mean, something I know from the back end of last season in those final playoffs between Cashback and Hit and Run is you kind of just run out of strats and it's like, I don't know, what should we do? Let's just push 7 tanks on this part of the map. And, you know, the way that Onslaught works, sometimes you can do that and it'll work out. If you get an early overmatch, then you can just keep the party going, just keep on rolling and keep the overmatch.
Although I think those kind of snowball strategies during Season 1 would work out better than during Season 2, because there, I think the Juggernaut TD meta was there.
Yeah, but Fosh B's key. I said it earlier in the stream. OCS, they brought 5 Fosh B's on towards Himmelsdorf, and they just absolutely sent it through the middle of the map and just deleted 2 tanks, and then the game was over.
That sounds like a strategy I could come up with. That is certainly not what LTP and Mafia are going to do, though. Both of them are going to bring mirror lineups. All right, so both teams, double E100, a singular T57, a 1-2-1, switched with a 1-1B. I know, big differences. Double 430U and a Fosh B.
Yeah, the 1-2-1 beta, the inferior tank. So LTP, if we go off of lineups, they are 100% winning this round because they have the better Chinese medium tank.
All right, so let's see if Mafia are going to be winning this round. Then maybe we can rename the 1-1B to the A version for being an absolute alpha, as Marcel is going to try to inspire his whole team throughout this round and towards a victory. But let's see. LTP starting with a slight bit more HP, not that one really does matter, as Nepal takes a shot in the T57 from, I believe, Profuse or Marcel, and LTP are going to send double 430U right in towards the cap, and they're also going to net themselves the Western Strike on the rails.
Well, we've seen this before, double 430U straight into the capture circle. Mafia gonna have to react to this, they're gonna have to respect the cap attempt. Kono now capturing the strike in the middle of the map. That is going to provide Mafia with a little bit of breathing room. Now Profuse pushing forward. Strike comes in on the E100 though. They striked the strike and now 28 seconds. What do Mafia do? How did they reset the cap?
That is indeed the question. Orzek on the 1-2 line does take a lot of damage, and now Profuse is going to drive on the other side of the strike. He's trying to get to the windows and maybe also to the wall so he can provide some resets, maybe with HE, but Big Strike finally going down. It's going to reset all the cap pressure that LTP have here as of right now, but still LTP are holding on, are holding strong. They have more HP. Aking has found Profuse in not the best scenario for Profuse, that is, and now it's just going to be a grind. Synops and Noxious are going to abandon cap. They really want to get that DPM in towards the game, and rightfully so. LTP are going to pick up the first kill of the game, but Aking now in a pickle as he is a 2-shot against Kono.
Yeah, it's looking kind of okay for LTP right now. They managed to focus out Profuse from the game. He was compromised in his position. He had to push forwards to try and get the reset on the cap if the strike wasn't going to do it. And now LTP can kind of just reset the playing field. They do lose Aking in the process. Kono will probably fall in return. 430U of Synops is going to be sent out on the hunt, but he gets clapped. Some crossfire shots coming in there, and Synops, oh no, he critically bounces on this shot. He's still got the opportunity, but no, Yuzek through the window manages to thread the needle, and that has thrown the advantage back in the favor of Mafia.
The advantage indeed back with the team from Poland, not only gun-wise, but also a little bit when it comes towards the HP, as Yuzek is now going to push his heavy tank towards the cap. And, ooh, Kono here going down towards one shot. I wanted to say that is prime strike material. And indeed, LTP pick up the cap pick up the tank, which means that now it's going to be 5 versus 5 again. But obviously, strike now being taken by Orzek. Crucially, Nepal is not in one strike territory. 409 HP remaining on himself. Good reset, or rather shot, coming in by Noxious on towards Yusek, as Tankistador is quietly and sneakily pushing over the 1-2 line. He does get found, however. He wants to take Marcel out of the game. At what cost is the question. The ram is not gonna be enough. Tankistador finds himself in a crossfire in between many tanks, giving up so much HP for this, but 10 seconds remaining on the cap. Joy is coming in to boost.
2 seconds.
1 second remaining, and indeed, LTP
that's...
do manage to pick it up and complete the upset in tiebreaker, 4-3.
That is such a misplay by, I think it was Orzek who collected the strike. He used it to kill Zitin, a one-shot tank on the one line, who was in a complete, like, he was in the middle of nowhere. He was going to get farmed by the 430U. They needed to strike the cap, and Orzek just saw the one-shot. He was like, yes, I'm going to kill him. I don't want to call him out, because I think it was him. He was the closest to that strike. And Mafia just gift LTP the win, and they take it 4-3. What a crazy result here. This game was absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema indeed. Nothing left to say here, because realistically, Mafia, I think they had it with that push of the 1-1 on towards, the 430U, I believe, on towards the 1-1B. There was so much HP that was essentially lost.
He bled so much just to kill a 600 HP tank. It was a desperate push to try and salvage something from this game, but in the end, Mafia, they just threw it. It just came down to that. You've just got to put the strike on the cap.
Yeah, they tried so hard, but in the end, they did not succeed in taking more than 1 point away from LTP, who, and I think for them, that's got to feel so good. That's got to feel so satisfying, who finally gathered themselves a few more points on the board, 3 more.
Yeah.
That is so crucial. This means that they stay in it and stay in it to win it. They realistically, they keep the chance alive for making it, or for being able to make it to playoffs. And yeah, quite the upset to see here, because Mafia is one of those teams that, you know, we all, I think, predict to be pretty high up in the final standings as well, showing some unexpected weakness.
Definitely. And the high pressure environment, that situation, the costly mistakes in the end. I preface this match by saying that if LTP could pick up any points here, it would be absolutely huge for their chances of making it into top 4, and they did better than that. They actually won the whole match, and that's against Mafia, which is a very strong opponent, as is pretty much anyone in the top 4 at the moment, and they still are yet to play Darkside, which is a great no disrespect to Darkside, but I think we can all agree it's a great opportunity for LTP to pick up some points there.
Exactly. This is going to shake up the playing field. This is going to possibly not shake up the standings too much, just because we have so many points on the board already. But yeah, it's going to keep LTP's hopes and dreams alive for making it to playoffs. Mafia, I guess after this one, it's kind of back to the drawing board a little bit, assessing what went wrong, how it went wrong, where it went wrong. And I'm sure they'll be able to improve for the future. But for now, I think that is enough from the two of us. When we're back, we'll see yet another match. This time, it's going to be in between Hit and Run and Darkside. So we'll be back shortly. And you just saw a trailer for Project CW, a vehicle shooter by Wargaming as well. Feel free to check it out. The link should be pretty much spammed by a Stream Elements bot in the chat of the stream. That all being said and done, it is time for the last match of the day, Moff. This time, once again, it is a favorite against underdog, but I think the odds for an upside this time slimmer than before.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. Darkside, I don't want to keep like banging the drum because I feel like I'm disrespecting them too much, but I'm not forgiven them for what happened in the last playday where they took one round and then ruined my entire prediction. So I've doubled down. I've doubled down because I need to try and regain some ground, and I've predicted the 4-0 again for Hit and Run.
Moff number one, Darkside hater, you heard it here first. But yeah, first of all, the lineup of Hit and Run. If you don't know those guys by now, what have you been doing? Because they have been playing together. Well, not so much actually, because Hit and Run recently, some player shuffles going through the Polish community, and the so-called super team has reassembled just like the Avengers, but they have yet to prove themselves. They have looked kind of shaky during some points during phase one. Yet again, they were the only team that was able to best Cashback in that phase. And Darkside, I mean, talking about them and Hit and Run, there were some weird interactions during phase one too.
Yeah, there's some voodoo going on between these two teams in phase one, day one matches of the OLS. Just Darkside just always seem to have their number on day one. I don't know what it is, but they won 3-0. It's absolutely bonkers there. But Hit and Run, you mentioned like the player rotations. What's interesting about Hit and Run is we don't really think about it too much because it's such gradual change, but there's only two players in this team, that's Monster and Piotr, who it's the only two players who are still here from when they won the first WCI China Championship tournament, whatever you want to call it, back in 2023, right? So there's always a lot of player rotations going on in that team, but whatever lineup they're presenting, they're always going to be absolutely cracked.
Exactly. Maybe the form curves of the players also playing a role there, and I think Hit and Run are in the quite fortunate position to be able to pick and choose because they keep winning important events. As we do see the statistics, two Batchat players here, you were able to make out the stats, but the fact remains we do have Hit and Run who have had a very good phase one against Darkside, where after the win against Hit and Run, it kind of all went downhill. Hopefully for them, it's going to go better in the match because they could darn well use the points. And we are going to start, after Westfield and Studzianki get banned out, on Ensk, which is a map that Hit and Run have started picking up in phase one. They've looked pretty good on it. We are going to Himmelsdorf, which we just saw an upset on, in towards Cliff, and then Murovanka. This might be, well, save Westfield, possibly the quickest sets of maps possible.
Definitely, and I think all of these maps that we have for this matchup, Hit and Run feel very comfortable on. I think they're pretty happy to play all four of these maps. Ensk has really been a turnaround for them because they used to just get absolutely owned on it. They love to do these aggressive pushes through the middle of the map, and they used to just get completely shut down. But this season, it's totally turned around. I think they still have, I could be mistaken, but it's either 100% win rate, and if not, it's a very high win rate.
Well, first of all, predictions, you are saying 4-0. Phil and Ducky are going with the 4-1, and I think I kind of need to explain my 4-2 a bit. That's still because I saw what happened in phase one, and I was like, yeah, some weird things are going to go on in between Darkside and Hit and Run.
Maybe they're a bogey team. You know, like they just have that team that they just can't win against, or that team that you always lose to, even if the form just suggests everything the opposite. They just cannot win against them.
Well, we'll see. That being said, I mean, all four of us going with a fairly comfortable Hit and Run win. So that should lay the groundwork for what to expect here. Darkside are going to be playing from a nothing really to lose position when it comes to expectations, but everything to win in terms of points, because those are, in the end of the day, what they need.
Yeah, everything to gain for the side of Dark Side, and they're doing it again. They're still clutching onto the Juggernaut TD meta. We saw it in the last playday in their match against Mafia, and it worked 50% of the time. They took a round on Ensk, and then they lost the other one. But they're coming up against what is the new established meta, which is German super heavies combining with Foch Bs and T57 heavies. So hit and run, they should have paid attention to what we saw in the last round of play and be aware that this is kind of what Darkside like to do.
Let's see if it's going to net them anything to count for, as hit and run, obviously, with those super heavies, no camo to speak of, so they are going to get spotted immediately. The Jagdpanzer is going to be reloaded, and it is going to be Dreamer in that E3 to put a first big shot in towards the mouse, but obviously hit and run are going to start with a lot of HP advantage simply because of picking those super heavies, and immediately they are going to send DJ, flanked by Tisek and Katsai, a bit closer towards those enemy tanks to be able to secure the artillery strike. And Hellmind now hold down, trying to trade against Piotr, and the Jagdpanzer does its first shot of the game as Piotr drops down to 3.3, still very healthy, but now the double Foch B is starting to come in. They're gonna collapse on towards Shockerix, who's not even looking their way. This is not where you want to be in a V4 with double Foch B and a T57 behind you. They're not even really focusing on him because he's dead anyway. Finally confirmed first blood, hit and run.
Yeah, there's no armor on that part of the tank, that's for sure. Strike coming in is going to hit 2. Darius does not have his ability up and running, and hit and run have that early advantage. They're just going to pull back now. They don't even care about the Foch B of Kano in the corner there. They're just going to pull back, reset the playing field, and go and re-push through the middle of the map. Panzer with a well-timed ability pop. They're going to heal most of that back. Hit and run just going to press this advantage. Frantic goes down to a one-shot on 200 HP, though. This push is very aggressive from the side of hit and run, so they do need to be careful that they make it work. But look at Kormi Piotr just causing chaos in the back lines with his mouse flanking behind. Hellmind is now stuck on the rails in between the carts. Actually, he's managed to back up, but he's not going to survive no matter what. There's just too many guns remaining for the side of hit and run. The HP, they did pull it back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to save them in this game. Trash Panda is now Amaract, and Monster is on reload, and he's just pushing him with his reloading Foch B.
Yeah, this match is, well, possibly, or this round.
You might actually reload
over
before him almost, but
I mean, yeah. That being said, though, I mean, the repair kit reload in Onslaught is kind of low, so now he's finally going to be reloaded again as Katsunk activates his ability, but I think Monster should be able to just completely gun him down. Quick double kill for hit and run, and we had this awkward period in the game where nothing was really happening in terms of HP because everyone was reloading, but hit and run had just secured such an advantage that it ends up not mattering. Pansfury able to tank yet another shot, and Kormi Piotr closes the lid on a pretty fast round number 1 on Ensk, where it turns out that, you know, Darkside were able to hold a candle towards that new meta, but hit and run still winning out.
yeah, and the HP was actually pretty close at the end. They only had 2k left, but I think from hit and run's point of view, they could afford to be a little bit liberal with their HP trading, a little bit reckless at the end there, because they had such an advantage, so they were just able to convert it no matter what. And yeah, when you get a free pick like that, it wasn't entirely free. There was some covering fire from the side of Darkside, but nowhere near enough damage output to make up for losing an entire tank.
And as the damage numbers come in, we see Vladislav with 6.3. So I think in total he ended up rolling exactly average with the 6 shots that he fired, but it wasn't enough to carry the team because the picks that Hit and Run found with that extremely bursty lineup of double Foshby, double T57, there were just too many singled out tanks by Darkside to pounce on for the Polish squad.
And I think that's the key, right? Is Darkside's lineup, it's so slow, it's all single shooter, high alpha tank destroyers. They don't have any like fast firing burst damage, which means that it's very difficult for them to actually focus out targets, because Hit and Run, they can just take one shot and then they can just pull back.
Yeah, and especially with the HP pool that those E100s and Mouses have too, taking one shot, like in any other tank, taking 1000 alpha by the Jagdpanzer, you're like, all right, well this makes my game suck.
Yeah, you can take 4 shots in a Mouse from a Jagdpanzer. Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So in this kind of game, you're like, all right, well, not the best thing that I just received 1000 damage, but does it really matter? No.
It's for the team, for the boys. You just take the shots for the boys.
Sides are going to get switched, and we will spawn into Ensk once again, where this time around, I mean, Darkside...
I think they're going to switch it up, or not?
Possibly a little. Well, here we are. They are going to switch it up a little bit. So going away from so many Juggernaut to these double Mouse, 430U, Foshby. Still though, 3 of them. Jagdpanzer, V4 and E4.
Meanwhile, Hit and Run rocking double Mouse, a 121B, triple Foshby, and Monster in a T110 E3. So, slight variation from the side of Hit and Run. They're bringing in an Inspire tank this time round, but it's still... That's very, very ominous, the triple Foshby.
And they are going to, I guess, play a variation of what we've seen already, which is sending Super Heavies down 5 and 6 line and sending Foshbys through the city. Although that 1-to-1B of Ketsai is playing extremely aggressive, and he's going to profit off of the fact that Hit and Run didn't immediately destroy the walls in HJ5. So this means he can just get so much quicker towards the information tower, which is, in the end, what he was going for. So Hit and Run with a kind of interesting opening, but this does mean that Dreamer is able to get the artillery strike to completely punish any kind of gap. And Pan Fury! Yeah, no ability. That is lasting damage. That is permanent in towards that Foshby.
Yeah, that is a bit of a mare for the side of Hit and Run. Pan's Fury is crossed over, and he's kind of stuck there now as well, because he's just stuck between 2 buildings. He can't really poke out. Piotr may have over-committed here in his Mouse. He's got double Foshby on the corner ready to go, ready to support him, but he's still, by and large, pretty much in the middle of the open here, and I think it might be about to happen again. The signature Darkside round win to ruin my predictions, as T-Sec gets absolutely blown up down to just 200 HP. Strike will finish him off, and that's going to hit a lot of people there. Pan's Fury gets deleted as well. T-Sec falls shortly afterwards, and now Darkside with a very good opportunity. Shocker X with the ram in the 268v4, the Juggernaut ability giving 30% extra ramming damage. It's still a very powerful thing to have despite the nerfs, and now Piotr is surrounded and nowhere armor to be seen.
Exactly, Darkside with that southern repush, taking 7 people on, pushing onto only, what, 3 or 4 for Hit and Run that do not have the firepower to stop this push. Dead in its tracks. They do still have a lot of armor to stop it on towards DJ, who is now getting pushed, and Vladislav was like, do I want to drive into the crossfire of the 1-2-1B? Turns out the answer is yes, as he keeps on going. Should be reloaded to possibly put another one, as talking about another one, Monster coming around the corner to provide some assistance, and DJ tanking like a champ, but Vladislav from the back. Yeah, he's going to shut it down, and he is going to take Vladislav. That is one more by Monster, but now it is a 2 versus 5.
Name a more iconic duo. Me predicting 4-0 against Darkside and them getting their signature round win. Hit and Run kind of just driving in and falling into the trap a bit, just driving straight into the welcoming arms of the entire team of Darkside, who will be picking up around, tying up the score 1-1.
Score is going to tie it up, and
A little bit of a tango.
a little bit of a tango. Dries has the ability active. Will Ketzai be able to track him? Yes, but Vladislav with the Jagdpanzer from downtown picks it up, and Darkside are going to equalize it. Yes, ruining your prediction, but to be honest, also answering an interesting question that I had as towards hit and runs tactics from Ensk North, because we saw Cashback and Hit and Run both experiment with this super heavy through the middle plus Force Bs through the city. How do teams deal with it? And throughout phase 1, we saw this tactic finding a lot of success. But now, I think for the second time in the row in OLS, this tactic has been beaten. And obviously, from both of those teams of Hit and Run and Cashback both, we need to see an adjustment. So I'm looking forward to the next matches where they play Ensk to see what exactly they change, because a counter has been figured out. This means, once again, it's in the ballpark of them to figure out what to do. First of all, though, Vladislav, once again, top on damage. Jagdpanzer on Ensk, if it's allowed to shoot, pretty good tag.
He is cooking. 12 out of 12 for both sides of Ensk. Over 10,000 damage there. 11,000 damage even.
Definitely over 9,000.
Yeah. We did the maths on that one, and you're right. Like the initial push through the city with Fosh Bees, it works fantastic if you're able to get a tank to chew on to get a free pick. But if you can't get that free pick, you're sort of left stranded. Like you're thinking, okay, what do we actually do? Because if we try to fully relocate to go for the north, they're going to be able to see that as well. And you're right. Like the Fosh Bees, when you do these kind of YOLO pushes, you're very committed to that playstyle, and there's not much room for adjustment.
Yes, indeed. So that's why I'm saying, like, if we see future Ensks coming out from Hit and Run or Cashback, I really want to see what they do from North. That being said, though, we are not going to see any more Ensk today. That's all she wrote for that map. Instead, we are going to, well, how far is the drive? Probably not that far. 2 city maps in roughly the same setting temperature-wise. We are going to go to Himmelsdorf.
Maybe they arrived there in the Crash Zeppelin in the middle of the map. Just airdrop some tanks in. Darkside. Oh, dude, they're doing it again. The triple IS-7. I do not like this. It's very, very, very hipster, exotic lineup. They got an E100, triple IS-7, as mentioned, 121B, 430U, and an RHM, actually. Light tank on Himmels.
I mean, it's not completely out there. It could go to the hill, for example. Hit and Run. E100 triple 430U, so in the DPM duel, I guess the 430Us would just be shredding those IS-7s together with double Fosh B and the V4 as well. That being said, though, the IS-7 with ability active and being inspired, that DPM could almost rival the 430U.
Wow, it's still a 430U, though. I think that Fosh Bs and 430Us absolutely rinse IS-7 players, and Darkside are splitting quite heavily here. Did Trash Panda actually use his plane at the start, or did he not see anything? But double IS-7 could be driving into their death right now. Vladislav pushing straight in, takes a couple shots to the face. Triple cap has already been started from the side of Hit and Run. There is no strike currently being collected. Now the IS-7 is taking it for the side of Darkside. 430U in the back in A2 could be a key player here, has an important crossfire position, but he's very isolated right now. 18 seconds left on the cap. They are going to push for that 430U. They're moving in with the Fosh B, undetected at the moment, going to flank the 430U, and Hellmind already has taken some damage, which means Monster is definitely going to have enough shells to pick up that kill. And 3 seconds left on the cap. Critically, there's no reset coming in from Darkside. Hit and Run have just capped it out. The strike came in, but way too late.
Yeah, Darkside overcooking here a little with those triple IS-7s just not getting the strike in time, and this means that Hit and Run, if it comes to a tiebreaker possibility, yeah, no, it's not going to be Darkside's choice.
No, there's no beating that. You're not beating fastest round win from that. Just drive straight into the cap and pretty much just take it fully from there. There was barely, I don't think there was any resets even coming in at any point, and even if there were resets, the positions were just so bad for Darkside. The fact that they brought a light tank and they seem to have no information available, no understanding of what was happening to them. I don't even know if he used the plane at the start, or if he did use it, did he miss it? Did he put it in the wrong place? Because it's kind of 50-50, right? Whether you put it towards the left or the right of the spawn.
Enemy vehicles spotted, so he saw all 7 of them at some point in time, and he also used 2 planes.
Was that from? No, it couldn't have been from radar, because they would have been spotted before then, right? So.
Yeah, so once again, here the RHM enemy vehicles spotted 7.
Yeah. So he must have got full info at the start.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more questionable the way Darkside positioned themselves.
And on the other side, obviously, extremely huge damage numbers across the board. That's why we are not showing them anymore. It's just too high to display on the screen. But yeah, realistically, I think this round is going to raise a lot of eyebrows towards Darkside, towards the decision-making that you mentioned, and also towards the timing and communication. Because obviously, when the enemy team is capping and you have a strike available, and you can communicate that, then you're going to put the strike as late as possible, just to give your team even more time after the reset, because then the cap is going to start accumulating again, of course, just to give your team those additional seconds for free that they might need to get to positions. But here, the strike came too late, so either the IS-7 that was capping it misjudged the situation, or there was some other kind of miscommunication going on their team.
I think in general, teams are just not respecting the threat of the cap enough on Himmelsdorf, because if you're not close to it, and if you don't have consistent strikes available, then it's problematic. You've got to commit tanks into compromised positions in order to get those resets. And I think just completely abandoning that part of the map essentially and playing like mostly towards 8th line and the hill, I just don't. Especially when you're not even like committing through there, you're kind of playing passively. When you play passive like this and you just give your opponent all the positions that they could possibly want, you cannot really hope to win the round.
Darkside now behind in the match, but maybe up in spirits. Unlikely after this past round. Are bringing triple E100, 1 IS-7 still, together with 121B 430U and E3. And for hit and run, we have only double E100, triple 430U. And double Fosh B, so not really switching it up, but hey, if it works, why would you switch it? As Dries is going to see 1, make that 2 for 30U, so he's going to stop a bit in front of the cap, sees the 3rd one, and this, my friend Dries, is the time to start backing off. You don't want to get melted by those 430Us. If they peek out, it's going to be 1200 damage to your face every time they do it. Finally, he does have some support of Dreamer and Vladislav. Obviously, hold down E3 doesn't care about 430Us shooting at it, but once again, hit and run are pushing over the 1-2 line with a double Fosh B. Shokorix getting resetted, I believe, on the strike in the east as well. This means there probably isn't enough time once again to provide a reset.
Yeah, and Dries is going to be forced to over-peak and actually manages to get a cheeky shot off without taking that much damage. Hit and run next time around when that comes in. The strike does come in now. That's going to hit all 3. That is massive for Darkside, and look at what that's done to the HP as well. Hit and run. It's kind of crept up on us, but the HP is so heavily in favor of Darkside right now.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved for the strike to be put like 2-3 seconds later, but Katsai tries to evacuate, takes another shot in towards the back of his tank, goes down towards a measly 600 as Katsunk in that 1-1B starting to reposition because he sees an opening on towards Call Me Piotr, but the readjustment by Katsai and DJ so far enough to deter him. Not to deter Shokorix, however, who does take a lot of damage. The strike comes down as well. Shokorix down towards a one-shot, but surely 6,000 HP advantage. That is a lot.
It is a lot, but Piotr's done a good job here of backing out, but he's not going to be able to avoid the 1-1B here. Kano, sorry, has 350 heat pen, so he should be able to butter through this E100. He does miss another shot, though. Again, he can still should be winning this 1v1. Another missed shot. This is becoming problematic now. If he does not manage to pick up this kill, then Shockrex is going to be compromised in the middle of the map as well. He's not actually aiming at Piotr at the moment. Gitsank moving in closer now. Piotr now down to a one-shot. He gets off one more before he goes down, so a little bit dirty, not quite as clean as he would have liked it, but still got the job done. And now the rest of Darkside moving in for the kill. Dreamer about to slap Pan's Fury in the face, sends him back to the garage, and Darkside hitting back with one of their own.
Yeah, Darkside hitting back, and they are going to secure a second point on the board once again. It is going to be all even in between Darkside and Hit and Run. That's going to crush both Darkies and also Phil's prediction. Mine still remaining possible, but only if Hit and Run manage to pick up the next 2 rounds. But Darkside looking like a capable team, able to bring the heat to Hit and Run.
It's just such a contrast of rounds, right? We get one where they look completely lost and the game is just so overwhelmingly crushed against them, and then we get this one where it's just far more competitive. But what's interesting to me is just how much the HP swung in favor of Darkside, and that was before the strike even came in, because the strike only does 1.2. So even without the strike, they were still well, yeah, only, but they were still about 5k HP up. So I would love to. I think we missed someone bleeding a lot of HP very heavily. Probably on the one line.
Time to begin the diagnosis, and Dries in that IS-7 seems to have had an absolute monster of a game close towards the cap. 12, 12, 12 with 6k damage. So, yeah, beautiful. Definitely going very, very well for him. Is that exactly average again for 12, 12, 12 to go 5950?
Possibly. And it's definitely more of a more increased likelihood in Onslaught, right? Because of reduced RNG, and then you have skills like Armor, which also reduce RNG even further on your damage rolls. But I think what we see here is that the IS-7 in isolation, when it's just playing on the outside of the cap like that, in this sort of hold down peekaboo situation, it actually worked out quite well against these 430Us. I just don't like the triple IS-7.
I mean, the IS-7 working out in a hold down position, who knew? But yeah, obviously, Dries with a high impact game here, putting the team on his back. And this is why we are starting to see, I think that phase 1 score is definitely wrong. It should be Darkside 3-0 against Hit and Run, which sounds equally weird, but yeah, there we go. But now Cliff is going to be our map number 3, and we are definitely going to see 2 rounds on it. No team so far on match point.
Yeah, even the pop-up assets are disrespecting Darkside, just like me with the predictions. It is going to be Cliff, and you're right. We are going to see 2 full rounds. This match could be concluded here, and very quickly as well, knowing the speed of Cliff games. Darkside bringing triple BZ, 1 CS63, Centurion AX, Foch B, and a T100.
And for Hit and Run, we're going to see the T100 as well, together with double Foch B, a Centurion Action X, and double CS63, complemented by a BZ75. So Hit and Run, a little bit on the lighter side when it comes to the lineup, but they certainly pack their punch with the double Foch B.
Yeah, it's HP versus burst fire. That's what it looks like. Hit and Run being a little bit more mobile, a little bit more versatile. Interesting, a BZ's going towards the one line. That's not something that you see every day. Hellmind going to be difficult for him to try and find impact in the game, going over towards the one line very early on. We got T-Sec moving towards the 1-2. Not sure how many tanks were actually spotted at the start. Missed that point. Panstery going over to the pocket in G2. That's an awkward position to play sometimes. You can get permaplaned there by the light tank. Trash Panda takes 2. Ketsai and Piotr are combining on towards him, and Ketsai now takes a bit of damage as well. So Trash Panda with the HP advantage in the 1v1 on top of the hill.
So to answer your question, I think all tanks save 1 were spotted on either side. I think the Foch B for either side didn't get seen, but Call Me Piotr now taking a lot of damage down towards 168. Someone was waiting there, ready, loaded up, and good to go. Call Me Piotr down towards a one-shot, even for that T100 with its 300 alpha on the hill. Needs to be extremely careful how he plays this one out, as Vladislav and Tsek on that one line do trade it. Tsek with a good ability activation, and Trash Panda on the hill indeed does manage to kill off the CS63. So Darkside well and truly ahead for now in this round number 1 on Cliff.
Yeah, Piotr is kind of screwed in that situation because he was going to get crossfired from the donut position, and if that didn't happen, he would have been striked regardless. Hellmine now pushing across to try and force Pansfury down, but Pansfury can just back off in that situation, so he's not going to be able to kill him there. Tsek now is sneaking up through the donut. Vladislav needs to be aware of the possibility. Dries perhaps is going to have to cross to donut to try and save his Foshby teammate, but Tsek, again, he doesn't have enough shells. Is Hellmine going to try and drop off the edge of the cliff? That probably wouldn't go too well for him. Hellmine doesn't even die. Tsek actually doesn't find the kill. Pansfury is the one to pick it up eventually, but HP so overwhelmingly in favor of Darkside at the moment. The guns in the game as well. Kano in a very powerful position on top of the ramp here. Trash Panda also has the HP lead in the light tank. 1v1. Darkside look like they're going to put themselves on match point.
Indeed, and for a second there I thought it might go the other way because Monster was getting healed by his own heal plus the BZ heal, so his HP was ticking up like crazy, but obviously that stops at some point in time. And now DJ, probably wondering where it went wrong, does get up by Kano in that Centurion. So we are going to left with Darkside for the first time in the match up a point. It is a 3-2 and match point.
Yeah. And a very, very good job by them as well. I'd say, as we've seen many a times on Cliff before, I think this one was kind of won on the opening trades there. It was great punish from the donut, the Foshby. I can't remember who it is. I think it was Vladislav, but there was great punish from all of the tanks on Darkside. Piotr just got not deleted, but he might as well have been dead, because when you're a one-shot on the hill, there's absolutely nothing that you can do. You can't peek, you can't poke or prod. And if you do, you're going to die.
Especially against the CS on the opposing team as well. Like, if you're this low, 150, that means a level 2 or level 3 strike from the CS on the opposing team is going to just take you out. So Darkside coming in with a good read, and once again, they seem to be kind of hit and runs kryptonite in a lot of the rounds that we do see here. I mean, yeah, realistically, what is Piotr supposed to go? Probably FC call to go up there. And, you know, sometimes it just is what it is. You take a lot of shots and you arrive there, and then the T100 is welcome you with a big smile and an even bigger shell.
Yeah, you got to do your duty. You got to go up the hill. If that's the call, because they wanted to win the hill, that would have been an important position for them. But I just think on opening, a lot of the positions from hit and run were compromised. I mean, of course, the bleed going up the hill, if Darkside weren't able to get such heavy punish on towards Piotr, then perhaps this game could have been different. But Pansy, for example, playing in that G2 pocket, it's a very awkward spot to play when there's a light tank in the game, because they know exactly where you are. You can't move, and you just get permaplaned. And if you don't want to die, all you can do is back up onto some sort of soap rocks, and then you basically just sit AFK and hope that they forget that you exist.
What they cannot forget now is that so far in 8 games played against each other, Darkside has won 6 of those, which is kind of crazy against hit and run.
They really are their bogey team.
And that took me a little second to calculate, but we do have a hot minute to talk about the lineups with which Darkside wants to best hit and run on Cliff now. Singular 50B, double BZ75, double Batchat, a CS, and once again Trash Panda with a T100.
Hit and run bringing triple BZ, double bat, a TVP, and a Foshby. So no light tank for hit and run. They're going to be flying blind. No info at the start of this one. They're going to be looking for a fight. We'll see if Darkside will give it to them.
I think it's important to talk about the versatility of the CS here for a second as well, because obviously Dreiser bringing that tank, that is a baby strike that's going to be available for resets, for kill pickups as well. It just adds that little bit of utility to the line of Darkseid that might not be immediately apparent in a shootout, but when it gets a little more drawn out, then it becomes important, as Drash Panda is going to see one of the Batchats at least making it through. He is not spotted. Good low noise exhaust, and he does see the double BZ as well. So a lot of info coming out from the T100, and even more to follow, because he's about to pick up the information tower as Ketsai with a good 1-2 combination in towards Dreamer that has to back off. Hellmind and Shockrix trying to peek over the top here. They do put a shot in towards DJ, but they are starting to bleed because Pansfury has got a notice of what's going on here, and now it is Darkseid with the overpush, but Kano with that 50B finds himself in between everyone trying to drive away. The Batchat's not respecting that. He doesn't go through. A shot from the other side down towards 131. He does make it up out for now somehow, and Hellmind does get first blood.
Yeah, he does somehow manage to survive in that situation. He was so heavily committed to trying to snipe the tank, playing on towards the ramp. Hit and run with an HP lead of about 3,000 at the moment. They have control of the donut. Darkseid are stuck in the middle of the map with a lot of tanks here, and there is good covering fire. Ketsai there in the Batchat, and Tsek in the Fosh B is going to be on reload though, so he can't actually contribute as this push comes in from Darkseid. This is a little bit suicidal. Dries just caught in no man's land. DJ now trying to get out of there. He activates his rocket boosters, but that isn't going to save him. They do find the kill, and now Darkseid with a 2-gun advantage. The HP still in favor of Hit and Run. Monster has a good crossfire position, and look how bad the spot they're in. Shockerix and the other Batchat of Vladislav, they're kind of just stuck in this position. Kano is doing a flank here, but he doesn't have enough clip potential to kill Monster, and Monster has another clip ready to go because of the ability that he has. He's going to put one shot in. Monster misses the first one. Kano gets 2 shots there, which is very important. Now Dreamer is going to be able to finish the meal.
Well, a Dreamer did announce his arrival via driving through the strike, but Monster obviously didn't have time to reload, and this means that Dreamer does have the full clip available. Despite missing one, he's going to go for the ram. Not sure if I agree with the decision, but now Vladislav would have been there to clean it up anyway, and Darkseid are going to play with 5 guns versus 3. However, still, the HP are close, and Hit and Run, they've been known to make some magic happen, but obviously Franek getting spotted in that Batchat doesn't help. Good shot coming in to reduce him to a 1 clip, most importantly for the Batchats as well. And here we are once again talking about utility on either team, and what Hit and Run do not have is a CS strike.
Yeah, and Darkseid, they have a light tank as well. They have control of the hill, so Ketsai is pretty much locked out from this part of the map. There's nothing that he can do. He really wants to find a way to get into this game. Franek looking for angles on towards the cap. Shockerix is spotted out, goes down to a 1 shot. Franek finds the kill. So, Hit and Run, equalizing the guns just a little bit, but still Darkseid in a good position here. Tsek takes a bit of damage as he tries to peek in here. 27 seconds left on the cap. Tsek, is he going to have enough time to pick up that strike to reset? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Are Hit and Run going to stick it?
He doesn't think so.
He
Ketsai now pushing in. Ketsai making a desperate charge to try and reset the cap. He takes a lot of damage. He's not going to be able to kill Hellmind, and takes another one. Goes down to a 1 shot, just narrowly missed him. Vladislav now finds the kill on towards Franek. The crossfire has been removed. It's all onto Ketsai and Tsek. Make that just Tsek left in the 1 versus 4. Darkseid have done what we thought would be impossible, but maybe we should have believed all along. They win against Hit and Run again.
The second upset of today is going to come to completion, and this time the favorites in the match are not even going to get themselves a consolation point. Instead, Darkseid proving to be the antimatter towards whatever Hit and Run is doing. And while I personally did predict the score correctly, it was certainly not the team. So just like Hit and Run, I'm going to go home with 0 points for this match. And I mean, Darkside for them, it looked very, very grim before the day. It basically, like last day already, it was kind of a do or die situation, but not really. This time here, if they had lost, they would have been out for sure. But like this, they do manage to hang on, I believe, for now. I haven't looked at the new scoreboard yet. But yeah, Hit and Run, it is unfathomable to me how you can look so good against a team like Cashback and then fall apart against Darkside. No offense to anyone here, but surely we can agree that normally Darkside should be considered not on the level of Cashback.
Well, maybe the hierarchy of teams is actually a cycle. As Darkside, they tame the Purple Dragon once again. They've done it again. It's kind of unbelievable, to be honest. But like I said, should we really be so surprised? Because it kind of just, for some reason, ends up this way between these two teams. The thing that Darkside need to focus on now is being able to do that against literally any other team so that they can pick up points, because of course they can't just play Hit and Run every week.
Yeah, exactly. In German, we actually have two words called Angstgegner and Lieblingsgegner. I think those apply here. It basically means the favorite opponent of yours and the feared opponent of yours. And depending on the perspective of which team's shoes you want to put yourself in, this, I think, definitely applies here, because Darkside get the maximum amount of points possible during phases 1 and 2 of OLS, and Hit and Run, a team that is incredibly potent against just about anyone, seem to not find an opening against Darkside.
Yeah, they fall flat once again. I'm still just in shock. It's so bizarre. You have this in other esports and in other conventional sports as well, where sometimes you get like a team that hard counters another one, but I don't think we see that so much in I don't think we see this so much in World of Tanks, where a team they just have their number, they just completely hard counter them.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes it is that way when you have teams that are playing in like a certain kind of style, and then the styles end up, complementing or countering each other.
But it doesn't even seem to be stylistic though, does it?
Yeah, no, here it's not stylistic. That's why I'm also a little bit at a loss here. But this just means that the phase 2 is going to keep on giving and going to keep on staying interesting, because if the favorites always win, where would we be? I mean, why would we watch? If there are upsets, that means that, you don't actually know what's going to happen before the match is being played. What we do, though, know for sure, that if we tune into the OLS streams, then we're going to be rewarded with drops and OLS token store tokens, which obviously you can redeem in-game. And I checked the article just today, and a little disclaimer caught my eye. You need to actually redeem those after the OLS ends fairly soon, because after that, they'll be unavailable anymore. So, yeah. Once you have the token amount required for what you want to buy, definitely purchase that immediately. And that being said, here are the standings after today.
This makes things interesting. Darkside being on 11 and 12 points with LTP.
This definitely makes things extremely interesting. Well, first of all, congratulations, I think, to Cashback, which are the first team confirmed in the playoffs, because we have 3 more playdays remaining. That's a possible total of 12 points that, for example, LTP could make up. But even with that, they wouldn't be able to catch Cashback anymore. So Cashback are definitely going to be locked into the playoffs. Everyone else, in theory, still could not make it.
Everyone else is in the danger zone, right? Cashback, the only team that can really sit pretty and allow themselves to ponder what they're going to do in the playoffs. They'll still want to keep pushing ahead, though, because securing first place, the changes to the playoffs compared with last season, it's going to be a double elimination bracket. So if you win the conventional regular season, it's going to give you a pretty big advantage.
Absolutely. And that is why I think Cashback are not going to suddenly start throwing games. They will want to secure that spot one as well. But as we just saw, things are extremely interesting because with a Darkside and LTP winning both today, that means that all of a sudden, a lot of things which we thought basically cemented into the ground, I mean, turns out the cement wasn't hardened and everything is up in the air again. That being said also, I say a lot of that being said recently, I've just noticed that, but yeah, thank you very much, Morph, for casting with me today. For those of you who haven't been able to claim your drops quite yet, we are going to raid this man to my, well, actually, if you look at it, my right, I guess we are going to raid him after. You'll be able to claim drops there. And with that said, don't forget to tune in on Sunday at 3 p.m. UTC. That's 4 p.m. CET. We'll be back then. Peace and out.
Onslaught Legends Series Season 2 is here. And you can make it truly special for participants and yourself. Boost the prize pool by predicting with team bundles. If your team wins, you can upgrade the included style to a shiny golden version. Contribute now.